Okay. Good afternoon. This is my real beloved. Let me start at the beginning. They have convinced me that is the best place to start at the beginning. So let me dig deep and find my sincere gratitude for another afternoon, Tuesday afternoon, of information and enlightenment, naturally and deliciously flavored by Armstrong ice cream. And yes, beloved, at 3:30 this Tuesday afternoon, as we have done now, couldn't believe it when we calculated it the other day. 5 years. We moving on with our fifth years of Crucian history questions, inspired by beautiful Aisha, who came up with the idea, and it is for me to divine a Crucian history question. And it's not easy because, beloved, as adept and capable as you have become, you are able to find just about anything on the internet. So I just have to try to navigate my way through it with the little bit of information that I know about the internet to try and think of hmm, what might be questions that the internet couldn't answer. And you might think, well, hey, what do they know about this 84 square mile island called St. Croix? Beloved, I might have thought so once upon a time, but I know it's not like that because with the capabilities of my beloved audience, I, beloved, y'all know how to use the internet so, to get to the information. So, yes, it's a task that I welcome from beautiful Aisha, which is to, well, it's just like a come up with a crucial history question because she is prepared to complement the correct answer with a full quart of the favorite flavor of Amsterdam ice cream. And beloved, 5 years ago, she came up with it, said, hey, sound like something might work. And you know which way it's informative, so I definitely would embrace it and go along with that. Because if nothing else, we will be able to update our information on the history of St. Croix by asking the question, even if you could just simply click some clocks and find the answer on the internet. But now and then, we just put you to the test and you just need to stumble as you try to come up with the response. But more often than not, you come up with the answer. And let me not give the internet all the credit because we do have some scholars in our beloved audience that they on their own, they know some crucial history. And when put to the test, they just respond and beloved, not so surprisingly, we just realize that yes, we do have some scholars in our beloved audience, and yes, they don't have to have the assistance of the World Wide Web. The internet can stay where it is, that the scholarly information gives them the correct answer. But all of that to say, beloved, that for the 5th year, we look forward to our crucial history question at 3:30 this afternoon. So stand put, don't go away, because we will be looking forward to another bit of excitement as we try to answer the crucial history question. Let me see. Yes, of course. Professor Michael Henry, known in Radioland here as the physicist. And he is a physicist. This is not simply a nickname. He is a physicist. And he has been working with us over the past few weeks, trying to educate us as to how we can make our water and power authority more affordable and more reliable. And that, beloved, is a desire that every single one of us embraces dearly. If we could only make WAPA more affordable, if we could only make WAPA more reliable. And so, yes, we look forward to Professor Henry making an appearance around about 2 o'clock. About 2 o'clock this afternoon, he will be joining us, and he's been trying his best and successfully, beloved, doing a remarkable job of explaining how we can adapt a waste to energy strategy as our first step in trying our best to make the authority more affordable, more reliable, because as it stands, I think, uh, at least under the American flag, if not more broadly, we could say, amongst developed nations worldwide, I do believe that we are highly ranked in terms of cost. Yes, beloved. Don't be surprised, or more accurately, don't be shocked to learn that the price we pay for electricity is amongst the highest in the world. Yes, on planet Earth, we rank up there, beloved. So those are two things that we are extremely, very highly ranked, and not something we want to boast or brag about. And yes, the cost of electricity is one of them. We are way up there for a territory of less than 90,000 people. Imagine that. Less than 90,000 people. And yet we rank amongst the highest cost for electric power. Imagine that. Yes. But that is a fact. We we pay amongst the highest rate for electricity. That's one thing. The other thing, my apologies, beloved, my apologies. But as you were hearing earlier, we had a little hiccup. Yeah. But what we're talking about, yes, that there are two things that we certainly can boast or brag about being ranked amongst the top worldwide across the planet. And one of them is saying is this, yes, the price we pay for electricity is unbelievable, beloved, but amongst the highest in the world. Yes. Are you asking? Yes. What's that other thing? Yes, Mary, what's the other thing? What is the other thing? So, yes, WAPA and the cost of electricity is has us ranking up there as amongst the highest cost in the world. What's the other thing? Sorry to say, beloved, but unfortunate as it might be, it is also very factual, very real, and should be very frightening. What am I talking about? Violence, particularly homicide, murder. Yes, beloved, this territory has a population of less than 90,000 100,000 people. And just as we rank amongst the highest the cost of electric power, beloved, again, nothing to broadcast, certainly nothing to boast, brag about, but we are amongst the highest rankings, not just in the Caribbean, but on planet Earth, in the world. Beloved, yes, you got to go to war zones to match the homicide rate that we carry as a badge of shame. But yes, beloved, those are the two things that we are not at all proud of. Being amongst the highest in the cost of electric power and also being amongst the highest in the rate of violence, specifically homicide, murder. And beloved, there is a stark difference between the two items. One, like I said, neither one of them something we can brag about. We are extremely quiet, reticent about the violence in our community. We don't hear politicians running for office like we have a major election year unfolding in front of us right now as we are headed for first the primary election, which should be the first Saturday in August, and then the general election, which would be the first Tuesday in November. Beloved, you will hear candidates making all kind of promises, aspirations, as they try their best to convince us of the plans they have to deal with WAPA, to make WAPA more affordable, to make WAPA more reliable, but definitely to do something about WAPA. You expect to hear that from candidates for political office, and you usually do hear from those candidates about what plans they have to attack this uh, well, ever-present problem that certainly doesn't seem as it has any plans to go away and leave us. If anything, beloved, is just after all the promises and plans made by politicians, Whopper gets less affordable and less reliable. But like I said, it is at least spoken of, and it's on the agenda of all the political candidates, and they all have their plans that they share with us as they try to gain our support. But I'm trying to point to that stark difference between these two issues that are so critical to the small territory. One of the Water and Power Authority, and the other being of the violence, the murder rate in our small territory. And the stark difference is just that, beloved. WAPA is always on the agenda. And just spend a few minutes listening to any candidate trying to appeal for your support. And yes, they have promises, they have plans for what they plan to do to help us out with WAPA. But oddly enough, beloved, this is a stark difference. Not even from the political candidates for office campaigning for our support, not even from them do we hear about this frightening, I mean, seriously scary fact that in this territory of less than 90,000 people, we rank amongst the most violent, the most murderous on planet Earth. Yes, beloved. And unless you live here, unless you're a part of it, uh, beloved, you would never imagine that the Virgin Islands of the United States ranks amongst the highest in the world with the rate of violence, specifically murder, homicides that take place in this tiny, tiny territory of less than 90,000 people. The last official count that I got is 84,000 people. That's our population, 84,000. But I prefer to say less than 90,000. That's about this. Much of a raise as I could give to our population. Rather than call it 84,000, I says a population of less than 90,000 people. And yes, beloved, that other item is the murder rate. And you just don't hear about it. We are on the beginning edge of what promises to be a very active campaign season. And beloved, well, you tell me, but I certainly don't expect the violence, the murder rate to be an item that candidates will speak to. They have not in the past, and I don't expect that to change now. And it is so sad, beloved, but it's factual, which is that the violence, the murder is amongst ourselves. And by ourselves, I mean the overwhelming population of this territory. We are descendants of enslaved Africans. And yes, beloved, that is where the violence takes place. It's amongst us. And I don't know, it's like a heavily guarded secret because we all know that as long as it remains amongst ourselves, hey, not a problem, you know. But let a white person get shot. Let a white tourist get shot. Even if I mean, totally accidental, a bullet ricocheted off somebody or whatever, however it is. But let it be a white person, not a heritage judge, a white tourist, beloved. I will be headline news across these Virgin Islands of ours. And we all know it. But every week we expect to hear of, well, if not one, two or three. And we usually respond to the question, did they die? The two who got shot last night, did they die? That's the best we can hope for, but it's like that. It's so sad. And yes, those are the two items that this tiny territory ranks up there with the highest in the world in terms of the cost of our water power authority. What we pay for electricity is the one, and what we endure quietly. Now, extremely high murder rate that has us amongst the most violent society in the world. And beloved, like I said, it's not problematic. It's not an issue for us because it's amongst us. And so, as long as we don't touch the white folks, especially not tourists, we're good to go. And so we have amongst the highest electrical rate, the highest murder rate, but we're good to go. So lick your cream, because have some ice cream. It is so good for your soul. Yes, beloved, and we got a caller, so let's go there. Good afternoon. Thanks for your call. Welcome.
Good afternoon.
Well, if it isn't
You
Professor
were
Henry
talking about the
himself.
murder. Yes. I was talking about your second subject of the murder rate.
Oh, yes.
See, I think I know why we have such a high murder rate.
Okay,
It's
okay.
because we try our actions and behaviors. We teach our young to focus on the differences between them and everybody else. The last year Super Bowl, Kendrick Lamar had a real popular song. He did "Not Like Us." That should be our national anthem because that's what we look at. If you look at people, we're pretty much very much alike, but we focus on the differences. Christensen versus Frederickson, St. Croix versus St. Thomas,
Mm.
the Puerto Ricans versus Dominicans, Haitians versus um, um, not Haitians, St. Lucians versus Dominicans from Dominica. It's like
I
who
get
in the
you,
territory
again, please don't let me interrupt your flow. But I think that the description that you're sharing with us, you know, to validate your explanation, uh, pretty much applies to what they call inner cities across America.
yeah, yeah, it's the
And I
same
mean, so
thing
that
going on here.
I
Who could
mean,
be more like them than the people they're fighting with and killing?
but they are, and
and and the only way that can happen is if we're focusing not on what we have in common, but what we have different in the difference between us. And so if I kill you, if I think you're different than me, if I kill you, your mother is not going to cry like my mother would cry if you killed me. And so
that's so
we're not
sad. That
looking
is
at
so
each
sad.
other. Pardon me?
But I mean, that is so sad. I mean, just listen to your own words. I mean, but again, it's factual. That's our
Yeah,
situation. You know,
that's
your
what's happening.
your mother is not going to be as paid as my mother. And Lord Harry the
Yeah.
Judge. I mean, how low can we sink?
And that's what's going on. What was it? Friday, I think. Oh no, Saturday on a talk show in St. Thomas. They were talking about the callers were saying we have these problems that we all share in common. We should get together and try to come up with how are we going to address them. So they all agree that they should do this. But then the conversation deteriorated into where they're going to meet. One person suggested one place, another person said, no, that's not good enough. It's going to be, either too small or whatever. And they went into a back and forth about that. And so I called and I was like, look, this is why nothing gets going in the Virgin Islands. You all agree on the major issue. You disagree on the minor one. And that's where the conversation gets lost. That's where all the talk and stuff. And all you can simply do is meet in the first place. If you see that place is not appropriate, during that meeting, you come up with another. It's not it's not that difficult of an issue. But it is if that's all you focus on. You focus on the fact that you disagree where you're supposed to meet to address a huge problem that you agree on. And this happens in the Virgin Islands so many times. The Whopper problem. The first person to come to want to have a group here was Brother Q. He organized the Ratepayers Association. I joined in on it, and it was all black people, black local people. Um, We said we were going to do this, that, only black locals showed up. Then years later, Hispanic people in St. Croix said, oh, what was the problem? So they organized a protest in front of WAPA. Only Hispanic people showed up. Years later, white folks started to complain and said they were going to have a protest. And they had a protest in front of WAPA. And only white folks showed up. All of them, the three different groups, all agreed that WAPA was an issue and something needed to be done. But they would not get together. They would only, so what happens? WAPA sees a protest and only about 10 people show up. The next time, only about 10 people show up again. So WAPA is like, we don't really have this, we don't really need to address this. They didn't. We are so divided in the Virgin Islands, and because we focus on the differences, and I tell the young people, as soon as there's something going on to the States, and I tell them, look, you get into a company. There are things you shouldn't do. But the only way and there are things you should do to rise up the chain. So you could be as smart as you can be. The only way you're going to know what you shouldn't do is by talking to somebody who's been in the company for a long time, and they have seen people come and go. They see people do this, and they're gone in the next year or two. They see people do something else, and they rise up the chain. And some of the stuff is counterintuitive. You can be as smart as you can be, but you wouldn't think that this is something you shouldn't do. The only way you would know is if you've been in that company for a while. So I tell them, look, befriend somebody, a secretary, whatever, who's been there a long time, so that they can warn you. And this is where I think the glass ceiling comes in. You have smart black people, Hispanic people, smart minorities rising up the train. Same thing with women, rising up the train, but they don't have a mentor. So eventually they step on one of the landmines, and that's where their career ends. They will not go any further than that. And I've seen that happen. I was when I was in grad school, I did a summer out at Hughes Aircraft in California, and it's a huge company most people don't know about because they only do defense work. So, if you're not to hear them with a product, advertising or whatever. So while I was there in the division that I was in, which was huge, they were doing layoffs. And one of my office mates, I had two office mates. One of them got laid off. Well, actually, both of them got laid off, but one of them got a job in another division that dealt with satellites. He got that job because he used to hang out in the bar after work, and there were people from that division in the bar, and so they told him about jobs and opportunities in their division. So he got one. This other guy didn't. He did one project where he had to compare to the company's product with the competition's product, and say, which one is better, and do that kind of stuff. He saw that the other companies, their competition, what product was better, and that's what he wrote in his thing. Which, you're sitting there, you're this guy, you're smart, whatever. You think that this is what you're supposed to do. Apparently, it wasn't. He gave it to his supervisor, and his supervisor knew if he sent this up the chain that he would be in trouble. So he buried it. He never passed it. Nobody but that guy's supervisor saw this. So when they were looking at who they were laying off, they looked at him and saw that, okay, he's been at the company for this amount of time and has done nothing, which was not the truth, not the case. But if he had had somebody, a mentor, the mentor would have pulled him aside and told him how he needed to deal with this thing. And that's what happens. That's why you need to find. And now, if you're a white male, you're going to more naturally find a mentor because you're into the stuff that the other white males are into. Like the one I was telling you, he went to and was hanging out in a bar, and that's how he got the other job. So you're going to more naturally do the stuff that they do. If you are not, if you're a female or a minority, it's not likely you're going to be doing a lot of these stuff outside of work. So I tell them, you have to figure out, and you have to work at it more. What do you, that white male, have in common? And there is something, cocaine, I don't know. There's going to be something, but you're going to have to work at it. Don't focus on the differences, because there will always be differences. Focus on what do you and they have in common. You figure that out, and that's where you bond.
All right.
That's where the person's going to start giving you information, giving you some guidance.
All right.
And that's what we need to start teaching our children. Yes, there are differences. Yes, some of the differences are important, and but you don't bond over your differences. You bond on what you share in common.
Okay.
And if you focus on your differences, you're not going to bond.
Okay.
And that's what I see is happening with our young people. And we have taught them that by our behavior, by not getting along with people who we have like 95% of things in common with. But we focus on the 5% that we differ and write them off. And our children see us do it. So they grow up doing the same thing.
We are going to
so now
look
you
forward.
End up with people in the same neighborhood killing each other.
We are going to see what we can about not making this thing move on to another generation. If we can become aware of it now, let us, make an indentation in it as of right here, right now. And I can't escape the fact that we are, at the doorstep of a major political campaign in the Virgin Islands, and we need to do all we can to impact these would-be representatives of ours for a new administration and a new legislature, 37th legislature. So, yes, and we can only thank individuals like yourself who have shared their input with us because it's critical. It is critical. But we move on to the next call, and we look forward to Professor Henry in just about 45 minutes from now. He's going to share some critical information with us. Thank you much. Thank you much.
All right. Bye-bye.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I thought we had another caller, but we do not. Beloved, when the last call made me think about the fact that, beloved, for a little more than a year, I had what was a Saturday afternoon program on our sister station here, 100.3 FM. And we'd be on from 3 p.m. To 7 p.m. Every Saturday uh, afternoon. And beloved, we were trying all we could to speak to the Rastafari community. And well, I can't say it didn't work out, but we actually had to, well, shut it down uh, because the FM station uh, just simply wasn't geared for the talk show format. And beloved, look how we tried. We could not get the telephone uh, issue corrected. And it became an insurmountable problem. Yes, believe it or not, the telephone, because they had never been before or since. There's never been a talk show on 100.3 FM. And, well, it's understandable why. But we tried to use that as a platform to address the Rastafari community because we thought, and still do, that the Rastafari community in the Virgin Islands was widespread and should be much more impactful than it has been. And I personally felt that way, still do, and that's the reason why we had this Saturday afternoon program. But like I said, because of telephone problems, it had to come to an end. But the purpose of the program continues to exist. Beloved, I don't know if you're aware of this because I'm certainly not aware of any statistic that confirms uh, my, uh, I have to say, it confirms uh, my feeling, my suspicion, because I can't prove it. But I am rather confident, yes, confident that here in the Virgin Islands, in this territory, with a population of less than 90,000 people, I am just confident that we have more Rastafari than we have Democrats. And I think we all know something else that is not the topic of conversation, and it should be, particularly in an election year like we are experiencing right now. But, beloved, the Virgin Islands is a one party political structure. We have the Democratic Party of the Virgin Islands, and no other political party of, well, worthy of mention. Uh, if the independents amounted to a party, we could say, well, the independents, you know, a party, but uh, not the like of the Democrats. Uh, we have the Republican Party, no, it's not to go. And there's the ICM, the Independent Citizens Movement political party. Uh, but beloved, I think everyone will agree that the Virgin Islands is a one party structure, one political party. That's the Democratic Party of the Virgin Islands. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Welcome.
Yes. Well, see, hello, Mario. How you doing today, young man?
I'm trying my best with it.
Hey, I want to ask you a question. Did you see young Tim Duncan win the championship the other day?
No, I did not.
You didn't see the game?
No,
Oh,
I
man.
don't have television, and I'm
Wimby went off. I mean, he just played an awesome game.
all right. What is it? Is that series over? They're gonna face the Knicks now.
Yes, they're facing the Knicks tomorrow night.
All right. See,
Yeah.
no, I don't have television, so I get my
Okay,
news
well,
late, and you are now informing me that that means that Oklahoma will not be a repeat champion. They have been
no.
eliminated.
Yes,
How about that?
yes,
You
yes.
know,
So
well, yeah, no, I'm very pleased at that news, and I was hoping, that yes, that the Spurs would be back on top, and you rightly characterized him as the young Tim Duncan. He just, grown a few inches, but that's wonderful news, man. That is wonderful news, especially
yeah.
after
They,
coming
yeah,
back from the
The Knicks are playing them in San Antonio too.
yeah,
So the Knicks got to travel to San Antonio.
yeah.
So yeah, I want to ask you a question. The gentleman that was just on, the professor.
Michael Henry.
Yes, I've been listening to him for a while now, and I'm going to come off sounding negative, but it's not my intent. It seems like when he's having a conversation, it's always, and again, this is my opinion.
What you're entitled to it. You're entitled to your opinion.
It always comes off as though when he's speaking, he is pointing a finger of the lesser than, which goes to the blacks. Even the story that he gave, almost sure that the story was about a black person messed up. But, just things over the time that he's spoken about, which is like St. Croix have imported and, sent abroad marijuana. He have not come up with any facts about that. He have not proven anything. And those are things that you're the type of person, one thing I've liked about you, well, one of them, is that this is your beloved audience. You don't want anyone to be deceived. And a lot of times when he's speaking, it would be good for him. And this is just constructive criticism. It would be good for him if he can say, this is where I got this from, or you can go research this. But to just randomly come up with St. Croix or the Virgin Islands is exporting marijuana or any little things like that.
Have you heard that here? Have you heard that here? Has he been saying that here? I'm not familiar with it.
On your program.
Exporting marijuana?
Yeah, that's what he said.
And I didn't say anything?
You did not respond to that, which was surprising.
You're surprising me. That's why I'm asking. I said, I don't know. I was a bit distracted somehow because just hearing you say it, I'm asking,
Well,
you know, you sure you heard it here? They say, yes. And I said, and I didn't comment.
Yeah, right after that, a gentleman called in, and he talked about he was, back in the 60s and back in the stuff like that. And he mentioned it also that he lived, I mean, I lived in the Virgin Islands for many years, and I've never known the Virgin Islands to do that. So that was surprising to me that he would say something so randomly like that.
But again, all I know is what I'm hearing from you, and I'm tending to agree with what you're saying, and that I would, yes, very much want to know, well, where do you source this information? Uh, I'm exported. I mean,
Yeah.
I again, but anyhow, uh, at 2 o'clock, we are expecting him to join us. He would be in his element because he's a physicist and he's been trying to help us understand how we can improve our situation with WAPA. And so
All
we'll
right.
be talking about that. But again, I'm inviting you to, to come in and again, just because of the nature of the call, I would invite you to, yes, well, ask him about it in my presence because I certainly would like to know about that. That's a serious a claim. And
Yes.
I would like for him to source it. Yes, do you just come up with this, or where do you get this information? I would certainly like to know. Yes.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to put that because I know how much you want your beloved audience to be on the right track. Because a lot of times I've heard people say things and just say, just a second, I need to know where you're getting that from. And that's the type of person that I've come to love about you.
Well, again, I've been at it for a while, more than a half a century now, and challenge for the veracity of what I say, and I think people appreciate the fact that that's just it. I challenge the veracity of information supplied by our beloved audience. Who sometimes, I guess, just for the sake of being able to boast or brag about it, would make some outlandish claim of something that doesn't have to be drugs, but this thing here about exporting marijuana, that's kind of stuck in my consciousness there. What are you talking about? So I am personally invited you, to later this matter of fact, an hour from now we are just about 1:30 now. At just about 2 o'clock, we expected him, and yes, we'll be talking about WAPA. But I am personally urging you, as my beloved, hearing me here, saying yes, we'll be off topic when we go through this matter of marijuana being exported. Is certainly a long ways from the topic of how affordable and reliable we can make WAPA. But I think it's important that, yes, information like that should be sourced if you're going to,
Well,
have it going to the
you
air.
went on to say a few more things like, the marijuana import and there will be more homeless, there'll be more homeless people, there'll be more, people more on drugs. And so he just went on with a whole lot of rap and no, he didn't give any source or anything like that. I mean, we're living in the world of
Well,
technology.
again,
Today.
yes, and I'm all for it, and I'm saying to you that yes, it be definitely off topic, but I think it is of critical importance because marijuana and drugs as a whole, you know, is problematic here, but exported marijuana, I'm like, what? I was distracted with somebody else in the studio. I'm talking to people in the studio, and I missed that. And I don't know, but I certainly don't want to miss it today.
Too much longer. I'm not going to hold it too much longer. I'll keep listening.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And but beloved, yes, I was talking about the fact that I did have for a period of about a year a program on our sister station here, 100.3 FM. It's a Saturday afternoons, uh, and it was 4 hours from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. And again, I was trying to well to reach the Rastafari community because I don't know, and just deal with it. Caller that was just on, uh, just how factual it is, I don't know, but I'm making sure I put that out there that I think it to be factual. That uh, that there are more Rastafari in the Virgin Islands community than there are registered Democrats in our community. And again, that in itself tells me that yes, Rastafari should be much more impactful than they have been in this community. But I got to call it. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you doing?
Thank God, one day at a time. Old, slow, but old, slow, but good to go. And thank you for your call, but thank you for your call. Welcome.
Yeah. So I want to ask you, what? I'm not in tune anymore, but does the government talk about AI and I'm gonna do?
What do you mean?
For the government, I mean like the whole government.
We ask the question again. Wait, what?
Artificial intelligence and using incorporating artificial
And you?
intelligence.
Yes.
What they do? Okay.
No. That's what I wanted you to read. No, I don't artificial intelligence. But what is it you're asking me if our government makes use of AI?
Well, yeah. I mean, are they planning or making, even in the curriculum and what I'm saying, like this thing, people describing it like the whole railroads and all kind of things to introduce it to America and kind of thing,
I know I mean, like I said, I don't have TV, but I read a lot. And from what I'm reading, it's this we do overdoing what we're doing at the change of the century. When 2000 was approaching, then it was the whole digital world. Was going to be a whole revolution, and if anything, it collapsed. And so now it's AI, and we're on the AI bubble. But here in the Virgin Islands, to respond directly to you, I don't know of any attempt, at the government generally or any department or agency of the government making use of AI. I am not aware of that.
Wow.
I'm not aware of it.
I ain't get to the power. I'm telling you, I don't left behind.
Again, it won't be the first time. It would be the first time. In terms of education, in case you don't know, let me make sure I point it out to you. This is factual. You can check it out. The proficiency rating of our grade schools, our public schools, the proficiency rated are 3 grades behind. Meaning, that this is from Smarter Balance Week, meaning that when, like just a week ago, we graduated to how many hundreds, I don't know, from Central High School and the complex altogether, probably close to 500 students. I don't know. But at any rate, according to our proficiency rating, they are have more in common with those who graduated into the 9th grade. 3 grades behind. And again, just right here at UVI, they would admit that the majority of the students from Virgin Islands public schools that enter UVI, have to take remedial courses.
Yeah. But
And again, and then so I'm just responding. I'm just responding to you being surprised that we're going to be left behind with the AI that says, "Hey, that's not news. That's not news."
Well, I telling you, I was a little skeptical in the beginning, right? And then start touching it and trialing it and this and that thing. It's like it's turned my whole world upside down. I'm telling you this thing, if you use it right.
Well, that is that. With so many other things, if you use it right, with so many other things, that's a qualifier because again, well, it can be a major improvement, especially for a community like ours. But then again, we don't have the leadership.
Well, that's the thing. That's what I want to do because we're sleeping and we ain't even talking about that.
Well, this is what I was just getting ready to say. Says here we are right now at the doorstep because today's June 2nd. The second day of the hurricane season now, from June to November, hurricane season in the tropics. Okay, now, but again, this is a big election year. All right.
Okay.
Now, what have you heard from all the candidates that we have? What have you heard them speak about AI?
No. That's like that.
Well, this is and I'm saying to you.
They ain't talking about that. Well, I ain't in trouble.
Well, I hear you. And believe you me, I'm not trying to be flippant about this thing, but again, it's sort of like that. As you said, tell me something that's news. This is what I was talking about here, and that's because the previous caller you will say that hey, I used to have a program on Saturdays at the sister station at the FM 100.3 that I had to discontinue because telephone problems. But again, I was pointing out that Rastafari, we have more Rastafari in our community than we have Democrats. And this community here, that's a one-party system. The Democratic Party controls everything. And that's to speak to you in terms of how pitiful, pathetic our situation is. Rastafari, who are supposed to be, really conscientiously, on the upper crust in terms of the cognitive skills, of people of African descent. And yet, even though there are more Rastafari here in this community than we have Democrats, Rastafari refused to commit themselves to change. They could take over this government in one election. They could just register the government, register the vote, take over the government in one just like that. But again, yes. So you tell me what's wrong with us.
I don't know that. Before I go back, you're here to attack, right? The next thing is I analyzing this Chinese food system thing and reading about it, and I think that if we at least take some of it from them, we could probably do a little because let me say in China, I don't so intellectual property. Them man teaching their children about inventing and intellectual property in grade school to encourage them to invent up with new inventions, new technology. I mean, if this is what they're doing, the whole of the world in trouble. Because them are gonna run the whole world.
Well, really, if you're speaking about China again, like I said, I don't have TV, but I read a lot. And yes, China is way ahead of the United States. Any other developed nation in the world, period. China is, leaps and bounds ahead of it. And if anything, the educational system in America is falling farther and farther behind.
Yeah.
And now with the Trump administration, they actually, making it worse.
Yeah, because they're taking away everything. Scott,
Right.
them man fighting more patents, I think, in China than fighting the rest of the world.
Well,
Eventually, they're going to find more patents than everybody combined.
well, so there you are. So there you are. We're in serious trouble. And again, all I could say, I wish we had at least a handful of candidates, with the cognitive awareness that you express in here, but we got, I mean, dozens and dozens of candidates running for governor, for delegate to Congress, for the 37th legislature, and they're not talking about this stuff.
We're in trouble with that. I'm telling you, we're going to leave left behind.
Well, I already spoke of being in trouble because, like, we have one of the highest murder rates in the world,
Yeah, well,
and it's not even a topic in our political campaigns. Why? Because the murder doesn't affect white people. We kill each other. So this one, what they are. This is how badly we are here. And so yes, well, I wish we could, borrow some of your cognitive skills and kind of spread it around the Virgin Islands here. Improve our situation.
You got to read what's going on home in the paper home and what's going on in the rest of the world. If you ain't doing that.
Well, I tell you, that's all I do. I do not have a television. I don't have this. I don't have this internet and all these smartphones. I don't have these things. If I make it in November, I'll be 87 years old. You know, I love my people. I love the community. I've been on radio for over 50 years. I've each well, hey, you've got to give me some left-handed kudos here for all the work that I've done. But I'm trying. But the fact of the matter is just that candidates, if anything, they avoid programs like this. There you are. But I ain't giving up. Hey, as long as I'm here, I'm going to give it my best shot. And again, I hope that, for one thing, that the AI thing doesn't turn out to be another bubble like we had it to 2000. And I'm not talking about the validity of it because just like no, the digital world is there, but the amount of money, that was lost, just pouring into it, that kind of thing. But no, AI is definitely on the horizon.
Yeah, I don't know about Amazon, right?
Yeah.
In this year, they must spend $200 billion on the data center and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's one company. So you're talking, this is huge. So, but we just at the cost, just like how the internet in 2000, you at the beginning when you remember Amazon was existed.
Yeah,
it was just
yes.
$10 million company.
Yes.
Amazon is $1 trillion company.
Yes.
So we see how that changed. So we're going on another one. This one is even bigger, in my opinion. I won't disagree with you at all. And that's why I'm saying that I wish I could, snap some of your cognitive skills that you display here as you speak with us and kind of spread it and sprinkle it among all the candidates that we have because they don't speak about these things. Okay, well, sorry. But anyway, I just thought, I had that in my mind for a while.
We are glad to have you. We are glad to have you. And, you know, and I certainly appreciated your input. It was worthwhile. And I'm sure, you know, my beloved agrees with me that, yes, we'd love to hear more from you and people like you.
Okay, well, my kids, I asked them to come out and show what it's doing over here. Okay?
I will do my best. I will do my very best.
Take it easy with us. Thanks.
Thank you for your call.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right. Yeah. So, yes, beloved, this is what I hope to do when I had the program on the sister station, the FM here, 100.3, because I just couldn't understand, and I still don't understand, why is it that Rastafari, the Rastafari community, doesn't understand that we have the numbers, we got the people, and that Rastafari is just more numerous than Democrats. There are more Rastafari in the Virgin Islands than there are registered Democrats in the Virgin Islands. What does that tell you? Good afternoon. Hello.
Yes,
Welcome.
yes, Mr. Mario. Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. Welcome.
I heard you made a talk with the guy about proficiency.
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
I hope I got an answer for you.
My thing is this here. Do you think all the people who work in education have a degree?
They're supposed to, as my understanding, but I don't know for a fact that they all do. It's not something that I have, researched.
You think all of them at the head have a degree?
I think again, I would think so from what they say, but it's not something I have researched. But I would like to think that they all have, because like the commissioner is a PhD in education, and as far as I know, yes, all the major heads, superintendents, and so forth, of course, the principals of schools and whatnot. Yes, these are degreed people in formal education. As far as I know, yes.
And this last graduation you're talking about,
Yeah.
that they're graduating at 12th grade, but they're on a 9th grade level.
Yes, and that was not Mario said, but analysts like Smart and Balance would tell you that our proficiency rated in the Virgin Islands public schools are 3 grades behind. So if you're in 12th grade, your proficiency is more that of a 9th grader.
And what you would consider that?
Again, the failure of the system.
When you say the failure of the system, sometimes we keep on saying we can fix something, but you don't understand what's broken. But when you say failure, what it is you're talking about? What is failure?
Well, for one thing, and pardon me for going into what is popular with me.
It's okay,
but
it's okay.
again,
I'll come and call you and ask you, so you give it to me.
Thank you. We have, since 1983, we've had a law in the books that I refer to as Brian Law, because he was the proposer of it. He was the one who successfully had it passed the legislature and signed into law by the Governor Louis to actually teach Virgin Islands history and basic Caribbean history to all students, kindergarten and 12th grade. Now, that tells me, that for some, or it been 43 years. For 43 years, our system of education has fought against teaching our students their own identity, who they are. And that itself is a clear indication of failure to me.
And you will contribute that to say why we are teaching with people who have qualifications, people who are in offices with PhDs,
Yeah.
and see that a system is broken, and we just go by whether a man
Yeah.
know about himself, Mario. The fundamental and the system to learn to read has nothing to you know about yourself. The man can teach you how to read.
Yeah.
It might be a plus for him knowing by him about himself. But you're gonna tell me you get a child from all the way down 3, 4, 5 years. Now if I send my grandchild to your house at 5 years old, are you going to tell me you can't control that child? Would you tell me that?
No.
You're the grown one. We have children going in from foundation. If the foundation is not good, Matthew,
Yeah.
I don't care what you put on top of it.
Well, again, I mean, we're on the same page, and
Okay,
basically we're saying the same thing. And yes,
Yeah. Well,
And
let me
so-
tell you something.
okay, go right ahead.
Is it the school by 5 corners?
This Saturday, the school one?
The school by 5 corners. Christian school. Same question again.
Okay, yes. If I'm going west, it'll be on my right hand side. Yes.
Yes. You know those children are when they're not first grade, they don't read it.
Well, again, that speaks to that's how deficient our public school system is. If here you have a relatively small school compared to the Virgin Islands public school system, and they could have first graders, reading it. It tells you what a failure our system is.
Do you know when they leave from that school and they go to the other schools, the principal will say, wow, those kids are wonderful. And do you know that the majority of those kids end up in the top tier of the education system?
I would expect so, just from what you said already about the accomplishments at first graders. Yes, I would expect that.
And end up being not even just in the regular program, in the magna program and those things.
Yeah.
So my thing is this here. Well, let me put this up. My truck was down and I wanted somebody to fix my transmission. You know the first thing I did?
I'm listening.
I went and looked and asked around who is a good transmission person. The reason being, I don't want somebody going fixing my transmission and the next thing I have to go back to fix it a second time.
Yeah.
So if you're telling me I don't have those kind of doctorate degrees there, but I'm not smart enough to say I don't want a second time with the truck down again.
Yeah.
So I ask all kind of question, I go online and you would not believe the amount of information I get about transmission that I know what to do and what not to do
Right.
when it comes to fixing it.
Right.
You're trying to tell me we have something that is going on for years in our school system.
Yeah.
It's not to say we have the problem like states, like billions of people. We just have a little handful.
Right.
And you're trying to tell me we can't clean up a small house?
I'm not trying. I'm telling you straightforward that's what's
Mhm.
happening. That we have
Yeah, but
the proficiency is 3 grades behind. That's what I'm telling you.
so if we are going to open up, let's say now we have the senators coming in, we have the governors coming in.
Yeah.
Yes, I know, we have people who have been in office telling you to put them back in, and you can't see the change that they made. So if you put them back in, Mario,
Yeah.
you think some kind of magic fairy going to jump on them and they're going to
No, I
get
don't think so.
smart?
I don't think so. But again, see, you're speaking to Mario, who has been for years now fighting this battle that I explained to you just about the teaching of, history, the Virgin Islands and Caribbean to us. And I was the students themselves don't know who they are. You know.
I lead you up to this question. We have this problem for all these years. WAPA, all these years.
Yeah.
Hospital, all these years.
Yeah.
And what are we? You're trying to get the rest of man. But what should the rest of man and them be looking for? What should they be asking for?
Well, again, that would come after. I am just trying to point out to you that, hey, here in the Virgin Islands, we have more Rastafari than we have registered Democrats. But slow down.
Right.
Meaning, that if Rastafari just registered to vote, they could in one election take over the entire system. There are more Rastafari than the Democrats. And this is a one-party system here, a Democratic Party.
I understand that, but my question now is, who are they going to vote for? Because if they're going to take over now and vote for any time they can have, those who was in there,
no, but you're missing the point. The point I'm trying to get across to you.
I didn't miss one thing. Yes, we can go and say we have enough now to change it. But what are we going to put in place? What are we changing? What are we changing it to? Look at how many times we have changed it. And we just go straight back to the same place. So what you tell me, okay, go and vote. But who am I voting for? You tell me, go and vote. What is their platform and can they do? Oh, education have a problem, we're going to fix it. How are you going to fix it? I'm sick and tired of people telling me they're going to fix this. Just give them a chance. If you don't have a plan how to fix it, I can't see you fixing it.
I agree with that. I can't disagree with what you say.
And that is what we have been having for the longest time.
Yes.
If I come and tell you, Mario, don't do it this way, do it this way. And you ask me why, shouldn't I have an explanation to give you?
Absolutely, yes.
And if I don't have an explanation to give you, you're going to change your plan?
Yes.
I'm going to tell you one thing and I'm going to leave you. We are taking half a cab off of a truck. I walk with some 2x6 to put under the cab so everybody hold one end.
Yeah.
When I get there, so they tell me, man, we don't need that, man. We don't need that. Let's just go. I was the idiot who come with the plan and let them change my plan. Next thing when we lift up the cab, guess what happened? The cab take the guy's hand. He let go the cab. And he took out my whole big thumb finger there.
Yeah.
After about 2-3 months again, I go back with the cab again. I said, I don't care what I say, we're doing it my way. Two piece of PVC pipe, put it on it, roll it up the hill, roll it in the yard, But look how easy we get this thing in the yard here. I allow idiots to discourage my plan, and I'm the one who gets injured. I'm sick and tired of listening to people and they can't explain. I'm not going to vote for nobody who can't tell me how they're going to change it.
I am totally in agreement with you. I hope you don't use it, to stop you from voting. Please don't stop.
Well, let me tell you, they're not stop me from voting.
Good,
my thing is this: I plan to challenge them.
Good, very good.
When they come around and ask me for a vote, I want to know why I'm going to put you in.
Very
because
good.
If you have already been in there and you didn't do nothing to change it, you're going to say you're a senator. You're going to pass a bill for education. You don't try and follow it up to senator. Let's get together, let's do this. You don't try and give it input. You just sit down and say because you pass a bill, that is it.
Very good.
I think we have been fooled so many times that the people, the same Rastaman you're trying to get to come out and vote.
And I never got the opportunity to explain to you why.
They're so disheartened that they're not even coming to listen. So you know something? You're going to have to find some kind of a way to motivate them.
Well, you see, but you never allow me to explain to you why.
No, when somebody
Okay.
come on, just let me loose.
All right, okay. All I was trying to say to you is that I was trying to be able, by way of the Rastafari, because I don't consider myself a Rastaman. The Rastafari to me is a religion. I am not religious enough to get involved in that. But again, if I could reach them to show them that just because of their numbers, they could produce a change in the community that hopefully would get others in the community, not Rastafari, just people in the community who refuse to register, refuse to take part in the process because it's our corruption, may want no part of that, and so that all they do is contributing to the system getting worse instead of better because they don't want to get involved. So I was hoping to be able to use the Rastafari community because of their numbers to show them that they could produce a change in the Virgin Islands. But it didn't work out because of telephone problems we had with the 100.3 FM system or so. But that was the point, to be able to make this community of the Virgin Islands see that we can bring about change. And then we could go to the next step. What kind of change are we going to bring about? But first of all, we wanted to realize that yes, we have the capacity to make change.
Mario,
Yes.
we need a righteous part. If you put a man inside there and you make a change, but he's a scam, the change is not going to be the change you're looking for.
Right, I know.
So the whole thing about it, most of the times, we are telling people we want them to walk right, but we don't want to walk right. We are telling we want them to take up a standard, but we don't have no standard.
Right.
Imagine a man see a woman because she bought look good, he run down after her.
Yeah.
Do all in his power, get her pregnant, and then he walks off, leaves the woman and he says.
Yeah.
And then she gets hurt. And the next man do the same thing, and next thing you hear, she have 5 children for 5 different men.
Yeah.
And then the whole thing we're looking for some kind of a standard. Imagine you go down the road and we say we have a carnival. And the woman and them have on clothes like you can't believe. Why would I want my woman going on with that? And if we take that to say that is okay, it takes a certain mindset to be that way.
Right.
So here is it, when we change the people we put in there never change. We just give them office.
Yes, but again, you're forgetting something. We were capable of doing that 100 years ago. In 1915, a group of people talking just like how you and I talk. Again, we didn't have a radio, but we talk when we get on the street. But a group of people were able to come up with the fact that, hey, the massa can't make money off of us if we are united and organized. The first legal labor union in the entire Caribbean came up right here on this island of St. Croix, the St. Croix Labor Union. It was successful. It had its own bank. And actually, thousands of acres of land was able to purchase for its members, helping them. Then what happened? It fighting.
I'm saying, are we going to have some kind of corruption?
But the point is, you see, but
wait. At that point in time, the vulgarity was next to nothing. When they even said singing a song, they're shading it up, and they couldn't work together. So then now people have money in their pocket. They're not poor before, like they was before. They have money in their pocket. They tell you, the hell with you, you can't tell me what to do. So getting them to work together now is more difficult than then, because they were suffering the same fate. Right now we have people, some live on the hill, and if their friend come up and they tell them, I don't want you to come back here. You don't dress the part. You don't look the part. You're embarrassing me. Because what? They make some money now. But at that point in time, all of them were getting blows from master. They were feeling the same pain. All of us today are not feeling the same pain. The governor send his child to private school. The senator send their child to private school. The poor man have to send it to public school. So it's not like an even playing field anymore.
You
So
you suggested it was an even playing field back 100 years ago.
You
And I
know what
say
even
we had just come out of the Great Fire Bomb.
No, let me tell you, not even playing. The even playing field was, I'm not saying they didn't have classroom, but they were getting squeezed by master. That was the problem. They were getting squeezed by master. And they decided enough is enough.
Well, now I says I don't want to use the same phrase, enough is enough, but we got a break. We had to make a break
No
to
problem,
bring on
no
things.
problem. I tell you, whenever you got to get rid of me, that right. But I'm listening to you.
I thank you, and I enjoyed the exchange that we had, and I hope we could do some more of it because we need to bring about some changes in our community. So thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're
All
welcome.
right.
All right.
Okay. Beloved, lick your cream. Because Amazon ice cream is just so good for your soul. And yes, beloved, no fault of his, it's all on us. We were not ready as we should have been. And we now are. And in house is Professor Michael Henry. And we are going to be talking about, well, how our water and power authority is not affordable and it's not reliable. And in my readings as an adult, that's what I've always heard about public utilities. They should be affordable and they should be reliable. Ours is not. Good afternoon, Professor. Welcome aboard. And our beloved audience have been anxiously awaiting to hear your voice.
Good afternoon. Before we get started, I want to address two of your callers that previous. One was kind of seeming to think that I am negative on Black people, and that is so far from the case. In fact, one of the reasons I came home is because I see the positive and the possibilities in our people, and I have gotten a lot of young people off to a great start in their careers. So the example I was given earlier when I called in with the two guys that were at a company that I was at for a summer, both of them were white. The caller seemed to think that one of them were Black, and no, they were both white people and white young males. And I was just showing that what they were doing, they did different things outside, and that it affected their careers. The other thing you were talking to the caller just before about our reading comprehension and math scores. And I don't think it's so much the fault of the schools. Across the US, the scores have dropped. They were dropping before the pandemic, and the pandemic just made it worse. I know that the community used to do a lot in it for educating the youths. I didn't learn to read in school. I learned to read at home and in church. You get Bible verses and that kind of stuff. So back then, most people didn't learn to read in school. They came to school already knowing how to read. My children, they were reading before they were 2. By the time they were 2, they were reading. And my eldest, it was by mistake. I was doing when she was like about 8 months old, I was doing flashcards with her, and I thought, how could this not be helpful? Well, it got her to start focusing on letters, and so she saw the combination of letters and learned to read herself. The first word we knew that she knew was pizza. She saw the letters on the box when we ordered pizza, and put one together and realized, oh, that must be pizza. And my wife at the time had told me, I think she can read, and I was like, well, I'm not too sure, because it was we usually got it from Pizza Hut, and they had a little hut there, so I was thinking she might have been paying attention to the hut. So one day we were out of town, and we were going to get something to eat, and we were going to go to Olive Garden. It was in a shopping center parking lot, and in that shopping center they had a CC's Pizza. We never bought pizza from CC's. When we moved on, pulled in, she was like, I want pizza. And I saw the sign, and so Tessa, I was like, where do you see pizza? And she was like, over there, and she pointed to the sign. And that's when we knew for sure that she was able to recognize words. And so I started doing stuff with her, and her younger sibling, and both of them learned to read. So it's because I was paying attention to letters. She knows letters were important to me. So she started to pay attention to letters and started to recognize words. And that's what I think is what's missing. The community over the years has put more and more of the responsibility of learning on our schools, and have stopped doing what they used to do. A lot of people aren't going to church anymore, not sending their children to Sunday school anymore. So now it's all on the schools to teach them how to read, and it's too much. It's never been that way. Students, it was never the school's sole responsibility in the community to teach our children to read. The other thing that has happened that they found is that we're talking less to our children. There was a study done in 1995, and they mic'd homes for an hour, and they counted how many words that was said in that child's presence during that time. And they found that it broke down by socioeconomic status. The working class children heard about 1,000 words in an hour. The low income, the welfare children heard about 1,000 words an hour. The working class heard about 2,000 words, twice the amount. The professional class, like lawyers, doctors, they heard about, I think it was something like 3,000 words in an hour. And which means that by the time the child got to kindergarten, and this was like children between 7 months, and they tracked them until 3 years. And so they said by the time the children got to kindergarten, there was already a 3 million word gap between the children. And that gap grew as they went through the school system. So even before they even get to kindergarten, there's already a gap in how many words children have heard and are familiar with. And if you think about it, most of the words you didn't learn in a dictionary, you didn't learn in a vocabulary test. You learn because you've heard it used and over again, and eventually you figure out the meaning. Most of the words I know, that's how I got it.
If I went, and again, I don't have television, and usually a day late, sometimes it's more like a week or fortnight that I'm up in some event or the other that might have taken place. But in terms of history and unfolding of our historical development as a people here, I'm quite a reader. And I say that to say that up until the early 1960s, we as a community was known as an advanced group of people, given our history. And there was a man by the name of Terence Tadman, who ended up being a career diplomat in the United States. I think it's in Tubman.
Right.
And he would say that when he went to school, matter of fact, it was just about the same time when we went from a military occupation to a civilian government. Matter of fact, it was 1931. Governor Pearson, still the Pearson, was the project at St. Thomas, it's,
Right.
eponymous. Again, I say that to say because he pointed out that the average classroom size in the school was like 75 students. Now, the early 1960s, we got Governor Paiewinski, who was appointed our governor, the Virgin Islands by President Kennedy. He had his alma mater, New York University. I'm down to just give him a reading as to the Virgin Islands educational system, what the what does it need to come up to standard? Well, NYU told him, well, didn't qualify, and that we need to have a qualified faculty, and we need to get rid of the faculty that we did have because none of them had any college degrees. Some of them didn't have a high school degree because, again, well, we still haven't had past the 100 years mark in terms of us having a high school here in St. Croix. It was in the mid 30s before we had a high school here in St. Croix. Now, I have a caller that calls in. I hope she's listening. Her father, we knew in Frederickson as Boss Speed, and he was a school teacher. I used him because he was one of that entire faculty that was dismissed because we just not qualified. And this was the beginning of the importation of teachers, faculty for our school system. And with that, despite what NYU said and everybody else, Terrence Padman would tell you, like, hey, it was like 75 students in the classroom, but you could hear a pin drop.
Yeah.
And the teachers didn't tolerate as you came to school to learn.
Right.
And who was more effective.
And again,
So I'm saying that the answer to you is that, again, we have totally lost,
and I think the message that
connection
was
between faculty and students.
right. And I think the message that was sent to the parents and to the community is you have to be a professional to teach.
Yeah.
So that's probably where the community started to withdraw and started to leave it up to the schools to teach.
And the numbers will show you from the 60s onward how we have been on this
Yes.
downward path here. And so that we are now like in the third generation of teachers, who have, been imported from wherever they are. And so that we have parents now at home, with no parental skill. All they do is like wait for this time of year when the first of the month they get the SNAP benefits out.
And they're also not doing their part. They don't think their part is important. And their part, at least half of the education comes from outside of the schools, and it comes from the community. And over the years, the community has been not doing their part.
So, Professor, what do we do about that? When this is now, we are seeing about elected our 10th administration. Whoever comes out to be the next governor of the Virgin Islands.
Start doing your part. Talk to your children. Don't nowadays. And what has been worse is now with the smartphones. Parents have been giving their children phones and tablets and not communicating with them. Before they will be driving in a car talking to their child, or at the dinner table talking to their child about anything. That's what builds your child's vocabulary. Their children talking with adults.
I'm trying to add again because we're on radio. Right. So trying to make this at the time. How do we, as we are approaching now, we are really at the doorstep of what will be a very active, political campaign.
Right.
How do we, make an impact on the I don't know, just the consciousness of the people who would be the leaders, because you see signs that says committed to serve, something that is service. I said, well, who's going to lead? Everybody wants to serve.
Yeah.
We need a leader.
We have to grow them. I don't think they're there for the most part. And how you grow them again is by communicating with your children, talking. You can't, they cannot learn if you leave them on their smartphones who are they communicating with? They're communicating with people who knows as least about the world as they do, as little about the world as they do. The adult, what has been missing over the years is adults talking to children. You rarely see that. Okay. You see the child on their phone. Who are they on their phone with? Another person who knows as little about the world as they do. Yeah. While the person who knows more about it can give them information, can also expand their vocabulary, use words that they don't know, and they are not communicating with them anymore. So it's not surprising that the reading comprehension is going down. What else would occur? And we're looking for the schools to solve this problem, but it's not really a school problem. It's a community problem. For example, homeschooling. You have parents in the States and even down here too, but I'll use the States for example, who they're not professors, they're not PhD, some of them didn't even go to college. But you find that the homeschool kids do better educational-wise than the ones that go to our school system, which have the teachers have degrees and certificates. Yeah. It's not really, yes, there are some things that are important, like a chemistry teacher. Yeah, you need somebody with a chemistry background. Yeah, but reading, especially at a third grade level, that's something that parents can do something about. And they are not. They're withdrawing from their children. And I think the pandemic made it worse because they were trapped in their home day after day for months after months with their children. And they were so glad that when school opened, just to get them out of the house. And I think that made them communicate with their children even less. And that's why you find the scores are plummeted. So, and this is something we can do. Talk to your child. Just find out what happened today in school. Hey, just ask them any question. Tell them about something that happened to you. I learned a lot about life by my father and mother telling me about their experiences. That then allowed me to realize how to handle things when I ended up in those similar situations. You need to talk to your young. It cannot, no society can work and function if the adults are not talking to the children. And if you look around, you see that. You see the child on the phone or on the tablet for long periods of time with no communication. And we have to stop that. Just like we have to stop what's going on with WAPA and our fuel. I did some research and I had some things I thought about because I've been paying attention to this for a while. And I looked up some stuff and I ran across, I think it was 2015, the WAPA board. They came up with a plan for how they should address the energy needs. And in that, surprise, surprise, they recommended to move towards natural gas or propane. This was something I was pushing years before, and apparently I got to the board finally, and the board said, yes, this is the direction we're supposed to go in. And then I saw a article when he was saying that, well, they went with propane rather than natural gas because it was an easier thing to do, which is true. And I think I mentioned this before. Natural gas requires refrigeration, propane doesn't. But natural gas should be what our goal. It's much cheaper than propane, and it does not fluctuate as propane prices does. It fluctuates so the last time I looked at it, it was like maybe $1.50 something per, I don't know, whatever they sell it. And it would go up maybe a penny or so, $1.56 one time, maybe $1.57, then back down to $1.50. It's very small fluctuations. Yeah. And especially since the US has discovered natural gas from shale rock, they have more natural gas than Saudi Arabia has oil. So there should be no problem for us getting natural gas supplied to the Virgin Islands. The US cannot work with us. It'll just be, they couldn't tell anybody about any way how they treat their people if they can't supply us with natural gas. and we're going to need such we're that a small community. Our needs for natural gas are going to be small. Puerto Rico has a natural gas plant. They used to get theirs from Trinidad, I think, but then I'm guessing they probably are getting it from the U.S. now since then they discovered that they have all this natural gas. They're supplying the world with natural gas. It's cheaper and does not fluctuate. This is what we are, and they have money. They got, I think it was $600 million from Department of Energy. I forgot which department. And they're supposed to come up with 2 new power plants. It would be ridiculous if they do not use that money to get 2 natural gas power plants, one on St. Thomas, one on St. Croix. Nothing makes sense. That is the cheapest fuel, that by far cheaper than propane. Less fluctuation. So all this stuff with the war in Iran and the prices of oil going up and down, that would affect propane, but it would not affect natural gas because it's coming from the U.S. Whatever's happening in Iran has nothing to do with the natural gas. So that's one thing. The other thing the board recommended was biomass. And waste to energy includes biomass. It's a little bit larger because you could use tires and plastics in waste to energy in general, the pyrolysis and gasification. But biomass is used in the organic stuff. And they recommended that too. And even prior to that, there was some action taken by WAPA and Waste Management when Mayor Agnes Cornwall was the head of Waste Management. She, and with the help of Hugh Raj at WAPA, they put together a proposal to the EPA to do a passive collection of methane gas, which is the main thing in natural gas. Natural gas is 95% methane gas. So methane comes when in a landfill, if you just leave it alone, the bacteria in that eats the organic material and then excretes methane gas. So if you have, paper, you have wood, you have trees, whatever in your garbage, this is going to be happening. And this is what's happening right now in our landfills. And so Mayor Agnes Cornwall, she put in a proposal and got, I think it was like $3 million to do this, to do a 850 kilowatt power plant at the Bovoni landfill. I had spoken to her, I think, before she did this, and she was telling me at that time that the Anguilla landfill was too dry to do this. Because again, you need the bacteria, and bacteria needs water. And so it didn't have it was too dry, so it wouldn't have enough bacteria to get a decent, I guess enough to methane gas to make it worthwhile doing this. So they're only doing it at the Bovoni landfill. And so I heard about it, I knew about it, it was in the news and everything. But then I thought I had heard that when they implemented it, that it caught on fire and it was destroyed. And I was trying to look it up, trying to find it, couldn't find it. We're typing in all kinds of stuff, can't find it. It's not coming up on Google. And I'm like, I am pretty sure I remember hearing that it got destroyed. And then it started making me wonder, did I mix things up? Then this morning, I went back to one of my Google searches. Didn't change anything. Just opened it up, that tab. And all of a sudden it changed and the story came up. And I'm like, what? I didn't type in anything. I didn't do anything. I couldn't find it for the longest. And I just came back to the old tab that had my prior search on it. I didn't even type in anything, didn't change anything. And all of a sudden it popped up. And I find Google does stuff like this. It's stuff that I know that I found on Google before. And now I'm typing in the same stuff, can't find it. So anyway, the story came up, and yes, indeed, it did catch on fire. And I thought at the time, I was like, there was no explanation. How did it catch on fire? How was it destroyed? How did the fire go to the point where it destroyed it? It was lacking information. But that's what happened. They got a grant, and so that's what I was telling you before. There's no way that they can, if we come up with a plan, that we won't get funded by the federal government. And this shows it. They had already gotten funded, already put it into implementation. Somehow it got destroyed. I don't know if it was, again, this eventually the Bovoni landfill did catch a fire years after this. Probably for the same thing with the methane gas that spills up there. And they had to get the Puerto Rico's National Guard to fly over and dump water on it to put it out, because they went for days and days and they couldn't get it up. And that was the only way they got it up. It turned out it cost us $75,000 to get the National Guard from Puerto Rico to come to put out our fire. The whole thing cost $1.3 million. So we're spending money on putting out fires at our landfill in the numbers of millions of dollars, where that is fuel. That is stuff that we could have used and not burn imported fuel. So we're not. So one, we're not using the fuel that we have. Two, from time to time, it will catch on fire, and that's going to cost us money to put the fire out. What? That's just craziness.
Well, if you would continue to explain to us how we approach this, because now, did I get it right? Is it a priority that we get the natural gas plants before we get into the waste to?
I think so, simultaneously. I think our efforts put pressure.
Well, this is what we want to learn about.
So the natural gas, that would be solely WAPA. And we should put pressure on them. And they have the money. So it's not even that they have to go to Congress or they've already been awarded $600 million. That's enough to put brand new plants, natural gas plants on St. Thomas and on St. Croix. That's way more than enough money to do that. I think Congress gave them money for lines and distribution and that kind of stuff too. So, but they have the money to have access to the money to put in brand new plants.
$600 million have not been committed yet.
No, I think the only thing that they have done so far is put money to generators in St. John, which is going to be a drop in the bucket, So let's say even if they use $10 million to do that, which I seriously doubt, that leaves $590 million left back. Yeah. And so now I don't know if they've been doing some internal planning or whatnot, but they have not come out publicly to say that any of this money is committed. And there's no way they have committed the bulk of this. They have money at their access to put in a natural gas plant in St. Thomas and a natural gas plant in St. Croix, which would dramatically lower our.
How do we go about this? Well, especially knowing that, hey, we have the waste to energy plant,
right?
That
and so that is
fueled by it,
right? So that is going to be primarily waste management, but also just like with the grant that May Agnes Cornwell managed to get on from when she was the director of waste management. It was a combination between them and WAPA. And so the waste to energy, it will be a combination, and those are the two agencies that we need to put pressure on. And it works, because I said I've been putting pressure on them since maybe about 2006, 2007. It came up, actually there was a Brother Q's organization, the Ratepayers. He arranged for WAPA to come to talk to us and the public at the cardiac center at the hospital. They had a room downstairs, And so Bruno Vega came with his people, and he put up a flat slide and showed all these are the possible, ways of producing power, across the world. And he was trying to show that, well, we only had one. We couldn't do hydro, we couldn't do nuclear. The only thing was oil. And so I brought it up and I said, well, what about industrial gas? And this industrial gas is a whole lot like natural gas, but it comes from refineries. When refineries refine oil, they get methane, propane, butane, this gas, and in the States they would take this and sell it. But here I knew we weren't doing it because one, I knew somebody that we used to work at the plant and he at the refinery, and he told me that an engineer, a chemical engineer that was there, and he told me that I had asked him about it, and he said, well, they just flare it, they just burn it off. And it's because it would take too much to ship it off island. Because again, you have to cool it. You can't just you have to use special ships to transport this because it's a gas, so it expands. So if you just leave it at regular room temperature, it'll fill up the ship's tank with very little. So what they do is they cool it so it condenses. So just like with in the air, if you put a cold can of soda down, it ends up with water on it. Because as the water in the air hits the can, they slow down and it condenses from a vapor to water. So they do that. They cool the stuff to get it so that they get more in the tank. And this is also what the difference between doing a propane power plant and a natural gas.
So would that present a problem for us in terms of the transportation?
No,
the source, wherever it is.
Right. Well, this is how they transport oil. So the U.S. sells natural gas to the southeast, Singapore and all those places. Trinidad sold natural gas to Puerto Rico. That's how they do it. They have special ships that cool the stuff and keep it cold as it transports. So this is an industry. This is happening as we speak. So we would have to get one of these companies that do it to give us. But I said they send it to Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is right next door. They have a natural gas power plant. So it won't be a problem for it to, we're right next door. So they go in Puerto Rico. And also, I'm sure there are natural gas plant ships that are passing the Virgin Islands on a daily basis going to the east. So any natural gas they get from the east coast of the United States, if that gas, if it's going to the southeast, it will be passing by us. It will be nothing for them to stop and give us a little bit of that. If the U.S. government wants it done, it will be done.
Well, how would you suggest we go about making such a plan that we could, convince candidates? Because I'm looking over all the time is that for the 37 legislature, which was sworn in January, that we have a plan that we could, at least I in my platform, can push for.
Well, the same way that I got WAPA to put it in their plan. Because I said from 2006, 2007, somewhere on there, I started pitching this idea. And I said I pitched it to Bruno Vega that he should go talk to Hovensa and see about the possibility of them purchasing this industrial gas. He didn't say anything, but I think he did, because a little while after that, I heard that somebody was saying that they ran into some guys coming down from the States, going to Hovensa to put in gas lines in Hovensa. It seems like he may have gone to them and they were like, oh, wait a minute, we could use this. And so they started using it for themselves. Then also, I said later on, WAPA finally started putting it in their plans, because I kept bringing it up. I kept talking on different talk shows, bringing it up that this is where we need to go. And eventually it worked. So we can do the same thing, put pressure on them, tell them, look, we know this is a viable thing, that we know that this is the cheapest thing, the most reliable thing. We expect you to make it work. There's no excuse not to do it. And if you do this and you are consistent with them, they will eventually move and do it. I have gotten success with them doing this. And that's just me one. And of course, I'm sure there's some others in the community that also have been doing it too. But if we have more people approaching our WAPA, approaching and saying, no, we know there's no excuse. We know there's a viable option. We want you to stay. And if you don't take this viable option to relieve us of this problem, then we are going to take action to get somebody else who will do it. If you're not going to do it, we can find somebody who will. And this is a message we need to be sending to the people at WAPA, the people at Waste Management, and our elected leaders. That we're not going to take this nonsense of, oh, we don't know what to do, oh, this is a problem that exists for years. It exists for years because nobody will do what is known across the world as to what is the thing you're supposed to do to relieve this problem. This is not a secret. This is not a trade secret in a company. This is something that is widely known. But it's going to take work. I'm not saying it's a simple thing. And Raj has said it at the time. It's a complicated thing. Yes, I know that. Most things in life are. But, heart surgery is not an uncomplicated thing. But it takes place over and over and over again. And it's a necessary thing in certain cases. Life is not easy. I don't, remember that they used to have that song, I Never Promised You a Rose Garden. I don't understand how people are looking at life and expecting it to be easy. I always grew up understanding life is difficult. Gain skills and abilities so that you're able to handle it when you grow up. Not that it was going to be easy. It's like, no, but it's easier if you have the skills and abilities that are necessary. And so you get prepared, and that's what we're not doing. We are somehow expecting that life is going to, just because it's difficult, we're not going to go down that path. I don't know where they get that idea from. The right path is usually the difficult path.
Well, that's the path we want to follow. Like I continue to say, with this campaign right on us here, to be ready to sell it really to candidates, hopefully to successful candidates that could make use of this come January.
I would be telling them, if you're not talking natural gas for WAPA and waste energy for a combination of WAPA and waste management, don't talk to me. I don't want to hear anything because you're dealing in fantasy at that point in time.
We got a call here. Good afternoon. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Brother Mario. I'm Professor Henry.
Good afternoon.
Of course I'm listening.
This is yes.
Yeah, I recognize the voice. I don't know if I know the name. Yeah.
Boss Pete.
Oh, okay, that's him. Okay, okay. It's good to have a name to go with the voice.
Okay, I'm calling to check out on a timeline that you mentioned, Mario, regarding with the teachers.
Oh yes.
Yes, I think we have the timeline a little off because in 1955 I was in 8th grade, and the teachers like my father and Miss Fraser and Barry Armstrong and them had to go. They were giving extension courses from Hampton University, right? And certain students who had made A consistently were allowed to attend these extension courses with their teachers. Okay? And this was in the 15, like I said, 1955,
Yeah.
when they were demanding that the teachers attend these classes to get credit to allow them to remain in the teaching system.
Yeah.
Okay? So it happened long before 1960, because by 1963 is when Prado Marco was open and the closed the school.
Yes.
All right? So you remember what I'm talking about?
I
Right?
do, and I'm seeing now that yes, this is what the Paworski administration took advantage of.
Yes. Okay, now I know you named the hour, but when you, Professor Henry, when you're talking about the natural gas, everybody's ignoring the fact that Obama was the one who established and made sure that there was a pipeline from Canada down into the United States, correct?
Yes. Yeah. And Obama was in his 2 terms. That's when the whole natural gas boom was started and going on, and he did support that effort.
Yeah, but of course the orange guy is not going to give him credit.
No.
Okay,
He wants to. Have you noticed that he's envious of Obama? He wants to be Obama. He wants to be loved by the public like Obama was, and he's trying to went for the Peace Prize. He wanted a Peace Prize like Obama got. He wants to be Obama, but can never be.
He would have to change from orange to black.
Yes, he would. but if it was possible, he would have. Maybe that's why he's orange. He's trying to make that transition.
Get it close. All right. The last thing is the gentleman had called a little earlier about marijuana exporting and.
Yes.
Oh yes. I'm so glad that you.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up too. I
don't remember you saying that, so I'm gonna hang up
no,
and let
right.
you answer.
Yeah, so
Okay, take care.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I thank you.
That was a minor point to a bigger point that I was making. I was saying that there is a more import now. Before, when you heard of cases of somebody being caught at the airport with marijuana, it was them trying to get it out from here to the States. That's like in the 70s and the 80s and maybe early 80s. And even up to the 2000s, it was, and I'm not saying it was a lot, but they were, whenever you did hear about a case in the news, it was somebody taking marijuana from here or other drugs to the States. And if you Google it, marijuana leaving airport, Virgin Islands, 1970s. You will get an AI with a summary. And one of them is a thing from the Coast Guard. You click on that, and they talk about the whole marijuana import from different places. And there's a map they have there. And they show one of the places coming to the U.S. Virgin Islands, going to the States. This is not something I'm making up. This is something that I've been observing.
Yeah, what you just said, coming through the Virgin, and I was we were transshipping.
Right.
Because that's what caught me with the caller. Matter of fact, the terminology uses export.
Right. So in a sense,
and I was like,
yeah, it's not that we necessarily that we were growing it and then exporting it. What I had said, what I said on the radio or some talk show is that when you're in those times or before, you used to hear about news reports of marijuana being caught leaving from our airport. I never said it was grown here. I said because I didn't know. I'm reading the news. They don't say where it came from. They just say that somebody was caught at the airport trying to leave the Virgin Islands to the States with this marijuana. In fact, I had a former student that was caught trying to do this, and it turned out it was the same plane I was leaving on. I eventually figured it out. That it was the same plane I was going to be leaving on, but he didn't make it because he got caught. Yeah. So that's what I was saying. I never said that we were growing and exporting. I was saying that people were caught. Now Then so that was like up to maybe the early 2000s. But then as time went on, now presently, the only time I'm hearing people getting caught at the airport is when they're bringing marijuana in. Why? Because the U.S. is not interested in the marijuana that comes from the Caribbean. And you could Google this again. Look at the U.S. The Jamaican marijuana is not popular in the U.S. And you'll get a report is saying that yes, that has changed. Before, the most popular marijuana in the U.S. used to be the marijuana coming from the Caribbean, and more specifically Jamaica, but the Caribbean in general. After the Afghanistan war, our troops went to Afghanistan. They discovered a different strain of weed. Weed coming from Afghanistan and also weed coming from Amsterdam, because the Netherlands also sent troops to Afghanistan. And so our troops into it, and they discovered this more powerful weed. It has more higher THC. They brought this back to the US, and then they started growing it in California, indoors, to create the same climate as.
Before we turn a page, I'm trying to learn then if it was transshipping.
Right, that's what
it was never exported because it was.
I don't know. I don't know where it came from. All I know is because the news articles didn't say that. The news article was saying somebody was caught in one of our airports, St. Croix or St. Thomas, trying to carry weed to the mainland. You were never able to source it. Well, I never tried to source it. I was just my point when I brought it up was that this has changed. That it's no longer people in the airport getting caught trying to carry it to the States. That is people in the States bringing it down here and getting caught. That was what the whole point, and that's why I brought it up. I wasn't getting into who was growing it, I have no idea.
But work with me here, Professor. Now, you mentioned a couple of times in explaining yourself there that, hey, it was Jamaican weed that was popular, popular in the States.
And it's not anymore.
No, all right. No. That suggested, you didn't say.
Right.
But it suggested that marijuana grown in Jamaica made it to the Virgin Islands to get to the States.
Possible. And also, like for the Coast Guard thing, I said that article that's there and had the map, they were primarily saying most of it was coming from Mexico. So some of that also the marijuana this would come to the Virgin Islands, British Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, and then so they were basically trying to get into the U.S. for all different places.
So we could understand it. How, in your mind, would marijuana get either whether it's from Mexico or Jamaica? How would it get to the Virgin Islands?
By boat, and that's what they were saying too. And there's also
was boat just dedicated to that trade.
I am assuming
we don't have any ferries.
No. Right. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. From the cartels or whatever.
We got ferries that would take you from Jamaica or to Trinidad.
Right.
But we're not a part of that.
No. It'll be boats from the cartels and stuff. And you, if you're paying attention to the news, there have been boats that have been caught bringing drugs from Puerto Rico to St. Thomas. St. Thomas is much closer to Puerto Rico than we are. And there have been boats that have been caught. The Coast Guard have disabled them by shooting them with a rifle, shooting the engines out with a rifle, and they toss these things into the water, and that's how they usually do. They toss them into the water, and then somebody comes and picks them up, carries them on land, and then you get some mule, get some person.
That's what I'm trying to understand, because I hope it can make sense.
Right.
Why use the Virgin Islands?
They're trying anything. They go by land from Mexico to the thing, but some of them get caught. They send them in all different ways, and they know that some of them are going to get caught. In fact, I strongly suspect sometimes they give up some of them in order to, so they may have a mole in the department, and so that person needs to make some arrests. so they give up some of them, and so they know they're going to lose some. So they send it in all different ways.
You know, give me a brief outline, as you would see it, of some marijuana. Whether you decide whether it's coming from Mexico or Jamaica.
Right.
But how does it get from there to the Virgin Islands, and then now from the Virgin Islands to the States?
So by boat to the Virgin Islands, from the U.S. from the Virgin Islands to the States by airplane, and that's been going on for the longest. I had a classmate when I was in.
But when you say by airplane, you mean by
jets,
individual carrying just
either an individual carrying it in their luggage.
Professor Wade, you realize you're talking about at least hundreds, if not thousands of pounds of marijuana. I mean, you're not going to use a boat to bring marijuana from Mexico, Jamaica to the Virgin Islands unless it's worthwhile. It's got to be, thousands of pounds.
Right. So they send it.
Right. So how many individuals would it require?
I of course wouldn't know that because I'm not in that business.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you though, based on the arrests that are made at the airport, that it happens. And so sometimes they get people who's going to be a passenger and have it in their luggage. Sometimes it's somebody that works at the airport and they
realize how much we're talking about. In other words, a boatload.
Right.
That's what I was trying to point out.
Right.
You're talking about it just thousands of pounds.
And you get a bunch of different.
How many individuals? Just no. Right. I understand, but just look at the picture.
Right.
All right. Let's just say 5,000 pounds of marijuana just came in, whether from Mexico or Jamaica, came to the Virgin Islands, St. Thomas or St. Croix.
Right.
All right. This is supposed to now to be shipped to the United States.
Right.
And you're saying basically you're talking about individuals to be like mules.
Right.
They will carry now.
Or there's two ways: the mules and also the airport workers. So as I said, sometimes the worker would put it on board in the thing. So it's not just one way, and it's not just the U.S. Virgin Islands. There are multiple ways. They're sending it in all different ways. So not that all the marijuana or drugs that goes to the States come through here. They use the British Virgin Islands. They use Puerto Rico. I said, if you go on that thing with the Coast Guard, they show you all the different routes. And there are many different routes. Right. And if you even look at now with what's his name, Trump blowing up boats. They're blowing up boats in the Atlantic, but they're also blowing up boats in the Pacific. Yeah. This is not just one route that they are trying every which way to get drugs in because there's a demand. And that's the thing. Trump could blow up all the boats he wants. There will always be somebody who's willing to do it because the U.S. has a strong demand for it and have the money to pay for it and are willing to pay for it. So you will be some poor person in one of these countries who are going to be like, okay, I'll take a chance. And some of them have to get through.
I hear you, but I mean,
because the drugs will end up in the U.S., so that means it has to be successful.
Professor, I find it, a serious stretch of the imagination that, say 5,000 pounds of marijuana.
But you say 5,000. Well, I don't know if it's 5,000. You don't know if it's 5,000.
Because it's got to be 1,000.
It doesn't necessarily have to be. They are trying every which way. So I don't know how much.
Would you imagine a boat taking marijuana, whether it's from Mexico or Jamaica? I'm just going with the cardinal point, going from from west to east. There are no regular transportation lines between Mexico and the Virgin Islands, or between Jamaica and the Virgin Islands.
But we
know that you're using. But we know it happens.
We know it happens.
That's what I want to know.
By the articles that are in and the police reports We know it happens. As I said,
No. You say we know that.
Both
Well, how was it that I don't know? I'm a reader.
But well, I guess you don't read the consortium, the Daily News, and Avis when they used to come out, because these articles, the be in there that they are boats have been caught going from Puerto Rico to St. Thomas, where the Coast Guard had to shoot and disable the motors, and the people threw the stuff out into the water, and they picked it up, and it was drugs. So I may not know the particulars,
Okay.
but I know that part
Good
based on the
afternoon.
news reports.
Pleasant good afternoon.
Welcome.
I'd like to ask, thank you. I'd like to ask Professor Henry some questions concerning natural gas.
Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Okay, I was wondering if you have submitted your proposal to this WAPA board and or the CEO, Carl Knight.
No, I haven't, because they know. I don't need to submit a proposal. I know that they know. Carl Knight, I served on his, when he was energy director, I served on one of his, what they call it, Eden committees, the one on solar and wind power. So I'm not a stranger to the players. They have heard me, they hear me, and I know they hear me because I say things, and then I see certain actions based on it. So writing a proposal is totally unnecessary. I say enough things that if they are serious about what they're doing, they can easily get the information. They can Google the information and get it. And so I Google the information too, so I know what's on Google. And so I say certain things so that they can, because I know they're not going to sit there writing down everything I say, but I say enough that if they're interested, they can easily find information. They could also easily find me. They know who I am. I've interacted with enough of them. They know who I am. In fact,
and you said that was in the plans from the time when Bruno Vegas was the CEO of
yes,
WAPA, right?
That I have been in communication with them and been putting out my information from since then. And in fact, I wrote an article to the Avis, editorial Avis, and the guy who was executive of C saw it, and in fact, it was about the Alpine Energy, and when they finally had turned them down, and then I wrote that, I think it was titled "Up in Smoke," and I was saying I'm glad that they turned down using the pet coke, but what they need to now focus on is doing waste to energy. The guy who's the executive director from St. Croix Environmental Association, he saw my name, he went to the phone book, and he called all the Michael Henrys in the phone book, and at that time I think there were 3 of them, till he finally got me. And then he asked me to be on the board of St. Croix Environmental Association. If he could do that, how the people from WAPA and the government can't find me? And they can't find me because I went to school. No, I'm sorry. I didn't go to school with him. But the governor came to St. Dunstan's the year I went to Central. And then when I went back to visit, he was there in the class below my class. And he saw me, and then years later, we've been at parties and stuff. We know the same people. He rode past, I'd walk in my neighborhood. He rode past me a couple of times, and he stopped at one time. He stopped right next to my house fixing his bike. And the person, who is now his chief, what's it called? Chief staff, chief. I forgot the name.
Chief of staff.
Chief of staff, right. His son was in my class. Carl Knight, who was the chief of staff before that, his son was in my class. They know who I am. If they're interested.
Let's get to the point, because time is not enough.
Let me ask you another question too. As we know, solar energy is renewable, whereas natural gas is non-renewable.
That's not necessarily true.
But you say it's renewable?
Right. Oil is renewable too, but it takes a long time. Oil comes from dead and decaying organic material. So the trees falling down. They believe the
Okay,
dinosaurs.
but Carla, what's your
Okay,
point?
I know,
Because
but my point though is this. It is considered non-renewable, and I want to know if you talking about using it as a constant supply or just as a reserve, a backup.
No, natural gas.
Yes.
Yes, a
And
constantly supply.
I'll hang up and listen to your
Right.
question and response.
right.
Thank you.
As I said, the U.S. has more natural gas than Saudi Arabia has oil. They have a ton of it. It's not running out anytime soon. And despite what people say, it is renewable, not as renewable as what you would say solar, but it takes a long time for the process to take place. But they have gone to places where the oil, it has dried up, and then they go back, I don't know how many ever, probably decades later, and there's more oil. So this thing of it being not renewable is not quite the truth. It takes a long time for it to come back, but it is. And then the natural gas that they're getting from the shale rock and stuff is not really oil related. That again comes from dead and decaying things that have been covered over, and they eventually decay into, I said, the bacteria eats it, and you get excretes methane. Just like bacteria eats the sugar cane and whatnot, and excretes alcohol.
good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mario.
Yes, welcome. We don't have a lot of time, but we want to hear you.
I just want to back up Mr. Henry. Guys, you were asking questions about the tonnage or whatever, and the marijuana that's coming through, but there is a show that can to catch a smuggler. Mr. Henry, you know about that, right?
I have never seen it, but I think I've heard about it before, but never seen it.
Yeah, they'll show you the places that most of the drugs will come through and how they bring through the Caribbean up to the States and all that thing. Very interesting program. But they'll break it down and ship it through many different news. You know what I mean?
Yeah. When I was in 5th or 6th grade, a classmate of mine, father got killed. And it was, and it was a number of white folks in St. Croix had gotten killed. And the word on the street was it was drug related. Drugs were passing through. A lot of drugs, they didn't stay here. So cocaine, heroin, whatever, didn't stay here, but passed through the thing. And it seemed like they were cleaning house. In fact, my father did a prayer thing in Government House with a number of other ministers because there was a lot of them getting killed, and eventually apparently they cleaned house and it stopped. But this was, so I knew about this from when I was in elementary.
If you have time on the weekends, you know what I mean? It's a show mostly on the weekends. And I forget the channel, but very interesting program to see how drugs are coming through the Caribbean and to the places that they want the drugs to go in America.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I am most interested in knowing the quantity of drugs that might be transshipped through the Virgin Islands.
Yeah.
Because that I am not familiar with. And somebody has to convince me that way.
They do small amounts. They have people who not.
The episode coming through St. Thomas, but I never saw one through St. Croix.
Yeah.
But I saw through St. Thomas.
There'll be more in St. Thomas because they have more flights. So St. Croix, we're gonna have less.
How the boats are coming in from different little keys and whatever, dropping off and people picking up and. Very interesting program. You got to watch that, Mr.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're moving on because hey, I don't want to miss my 3:30 appointment.
Let me add just one more thing. They've caught people smuggling cocaine in balloons stuck up their butts. That's got to be a small amount, but they can't catch them. They smuggle drugs into the U.S. in all kinds of ways
Okay,
and in small amounts at a time.
no problem.
Right.
I will, but I am trying to pinpoint, you know, the Virgin Islands
Right.
as a transshipment point
Right.
for this quantity.
But I'm telling you, the quantity doesn't matter. If people are smuggling cocaine up their butts, that is a small quantity, but they're doing it. They do it in all kinds of ways. They had a Jamaican flight attendant.
If you have boats bringing drugs, whether in the case we're talking about marijuana, bringing marijuana from, let's say, Jamaica to the Virgin Islands, I'm saying that's what it's going to be thousands of pounds.
I'll
You're
try
not going to go through this to bring a boat that brings.
I will look at right. I'll Google and see if I can find the amount. I don't, you know,
But
I never
anyhow,
looked.
we're pretty much on to that end of prayer. You have the last word, Professor.
Right. So in any case, natural gas, from WAPA, they need to come up with a plan and an action that they're actually going to carry out. Waste to energy, primarily waste management, but in cooperation with WAPA. This is what we need to be pushing, and this is what we need our candidates to be saying. Because if they are not saying anything, that means they're not looking. And if they're not looking, how are you going to be representing me? You're not paying. One of my major needs is to have affordable and reliable energy, and there's a way to do it. There's a way out there for it, and if you are not looking into this and not coming up with that conclusion, how in the world am I voting for you to represent me? I'm just going to get what I've been getting for the past how many of decades, because that's what they've been doing. Just not looking, spending any time, not talking to anybody who understands the situation. They're just not trying. And there's been this from at least since 2006. There's been these two solutions out there. And we see that they know this. The board knew this. It's going to take a lot of work. And that's what, so when they went to propane, they didn't plan it. They let the company plan it. They didn't, and we got messed up because of it. We need to put in the time and effort to learn about these things, see what is necessary. And so when we're looking to hire a company, they can't fool us. And that's what happened with the propane thing. We didn't look at it enough. We didn't have enough local people on it. So whatever the company said, we went along with. And we saw what happened. What was supposed to be $84 million turned out to be $160 million, almost double. It's going to happen again if we don't put in the work.
Again, thank you so very much, Professor. And like we said, until next week, because you're hot.
and I'll try. I'm going to try to look it up as soon as I go home as to how much tends to come through here.
Okay. All right. Beloved, lick your cream, because Amsterdam ice cream is just so good for your soul. We're back. And yes, beloved, everything is in place. It's beautiful Aisha. She is center stage and she is ready to complement the correct answer. So if you're ready, let's do this. Beloved, it's a simple, straightforward question. Please tell us when was the design and construction begun for the town of Frederiksted. In other words, when was the town of Frederiksted designed and can't say constructed because it didn't happen all in 1 year, but when was it designed and started construction? When did Frederiksted start the construction to be the second town of this island of St. Croix? There is a definite time. There is a year. And we need for you to tell us what year was it that the design and construction was begun for the town of Frederiksted, St. Croix. You tell us, and beautiful Aisha is prepared to complement your answer with a full quart of your favorite flavor of ice cream. Good afternoon. Yes, sir. We look at what is the year we're looking for?
1751, Mario.
1751, the silver says. Where did you get that answer from?
Quickly from the internet.
Quickly from the internet. Well, I am glad to say that for once we could tell the internet, wheel and come again. We got you this time. Good afternoon. We are looking for.
Well, I am glad to say.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
The question was answered?
Well, the question was answered, but not correctly.
Oh, because I went to the internet too, but
You went to the internet too, and that, you know, we were pleased for once in a while, you know, to have the opportunity to face in the internet and say, "We and come again, Mr. Internet. You think you know it all? Well, you ain't know it all." Pardon me?
1752?
Say that again.
Was it 1752?
Wheel and come again. No, it was not.
All right.
All righty. Good afternoon. We're looking for the year when Frederiksted was begun.
Well, I ain't got no internet, so I don't try my guess. I would say the year 18. Wait. Yeah. No, that is 18. 1767.
1767.
Yeah.
That would be 7 years after the Frederiksted Fort. Because when I hear 1767, all of a sudden I said that
Right.
the
Yeah,
1760s is the
Right.
date at the entrance to the Frederiksted Fort where you're going from Bodo Park to the
Right,
fort
right.
is the road 1760.
Yeah.
You know, so you're correct. It was that you didn't go to the internet. You just went to do your own sources.
I know,
Try a thing. Well, that's a good try. All I got to tell you is you got to wheel and come again. All right. Okay. Yes, beloved. Frederiksted, the town of Frederiksted is what we're looking for. When did it begin? Because again, if I had to ask when the town of Frederiksted finished, I would imagine it would take many a years because it is 7 streets by 7 streets. The town of Frederiksted. And that was the design that was laid out at the same time. And that is why I asked for the year, because yes, there is a year when the design was laid out and when construction of the town of Frederiksted was begun. And so, hey, that is what we're looking for. And so far, we are saying that the internet got the wheel and come again. When was the town of Frederiksted begun? Good afternoon.
Yeah, Mario.
I'm listening.
1760.
1760. He's a smart man, you know. Nobody ever tell you you're stupid, right? He laughed. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very kind. But, beloved, you're smart at the internet. You did a better job. But if I had asked for the Frederiksted Fort, we'd have had to give it ice cream. But we're talking the Frederiksted town. That is the perfect date for the fort of Frederiksted. But we want the town of Frederiksted now, the town of Frederiksted. And you, the one, have to decide whether the town come before or after the fort, however you go. But 1760, you could see it was right there. And the entrance to the fort, they got it in 1760. Wheel and come again. Well, beloved, it looks like I got a good one going here. And this should be, well, look at that. The town of Frederiksted, my hometown. That's where I was born and raised. Frederiksted, St. Croix. And I am trying to find out if you know. And that again, because we had that discussion with Professor Henry here about, education in the Virgin Islands. And that is one of the things we learned, that is that you could go to school and be the best students in the whole school and still never learn the answer as to when was the town of Frederiksted started. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. You have the answer yet?
Not yet. We were waiting for you.
I said 1742.
And you said 1742, 1742. And we
Yes,
said,
sir.
where you get that one from? The internet?
I think I remember something like that. That year come in my head for something. I can't remember.
All right. Okay. Well, try remember this, because you got the wheel and come again.
All right.
All right, big man. Good afternoon. Nobody don't want my town. My town of Frederiksted, imagine that, no? Nobody here tell you when did they start building the town of Frederiksted.
Okay, I try to make it again. I don't go 1784.
1784.
Yes.
1784.
Yes.
And I gotta tell you, Wheel and come again. I never thought you would take this up. Good afternoon, Frederickston. Help me out. I was born and raised in Frederickston.
Okay, good afternoon, Mario. Let me help you out.
Yes.
I would say
It's in 1734. Now, all right, now slow down a little bit with me now. Slow down a little bit with me. 1733 is when the Danes and the Spaniards. No, I'm sorry, my bad. The Danes and the French who are having the discussions about selling and buying.
right.
The France was selling, the Danes was buying. That was in 1733, and it was supposed to be culminated that December. But what happened is that in November 23rd, you had a rebellion in St. John.
Right.
Change all the thing. Now, so the next year would have been 1734.
That's true.
Now, so you saying that they started the town of Frederickston before they transferred the island from France to Denmark?
No, I see what you're saying now, yeah.
We and come again.
All right. Okay.
Beloved, my town is Frederickston. I was born and raised in Frederickston. And Lord Harry the Judge, you mean to tell me you are my beloved audience. We talk so much about our history. And we're talking now about the second town of the island of St. Croix. Christiansted, and then there's Frederickston. And we're asking you to tell us when did they start building the town of Frederickston? When? Good afternoon. All right, you're in charge, so we want you to tell us when the town of Frederickston, when did they start building it? You got your radio playing back on me. One 1751, the man says, and I say, wheel and come again. Beloved, we are yet to find the year. What was the year when the town of Frederickston was started? When? We even get to learn about the Frederickston Fort, because as we very well know, 1760 is right over the entrance to the Frederickston Fort. So they let you know that the Frederickston Fort, if that doesn't help you, the Frederickston Fort was up and running in 1760. Good afternoon.
Yeah, back again.
Go there, you're welcome again.
Yeah, again with 1775.
1775.
Yeah.
And I going with wheel and come again. Boy, I got you all the same. My tongue of Frederickston. You see how my tongue of Frederickston started up? We pushing back against the iron. Not even the internet could mess with we.
Go ahead then. No.
Thank you. Wheel and come again. How about that, beloved? My town of Frederickston is beyond the internet, all of them. Everybody trying their best, and they can't tell me the year when the town of Frederickston was designed and started to build. What year was it? What a thing, yeah. What a thing. And I'm telling you, beloved, I was born and raised in Frederickston. Good afternoon. Hello. This is 1848. This is 1848. When I say wheel and come again, that's emancipation. Beloved, you always dismiss the little things. And so you look at Frederickston, we is the second town. We is nobody, but beloved, you don't know. Good afternoon. We're trying to locate when Frederickston was begun.
Sunday song that we tell them, I think 1770,
1770. And I going with wheel and come again. Frederickston standing strong, my son. Standing strong. Ay, ay, ay. Beloved, make me feel proud, man. That's my tongue of Frederickston. My tongue of Frederickston pushing back against all of you. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good day, Mario. Let me try 1759.
1759. 1759, and I say, wheel and come again.
Okay. All right.
Good afternoon. I'm looking for Frederickston, my hometown.
Mine too. And I say 1765.
1765.
Yes.
And I say, wheel and come again. You can laugh. You can laugh in tongue, you know. I'm going to have to find you.
You're going to have to give a hint now.
All right. Okay. I might just.
All right. I'll try again.
All righty. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mario. How are you?
I am feeling good and happy for my town of Frederickston because this is pushing back. I'm not all you baffled. Whether the internet, everything you try, you cannot come up with the year when my hometown of Frederickston was first begun. When did they design and start building Frederickston town?
1751.
1751. Wheel and come again. Why, I got them, beloved. I got them. Good afternoon. Frederickston is say. Frederickston hot. What you say?
West Bobby. There we go. Let me try 1748.
1748. Is that what you say? And I say, wheel and come again. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Help me find Frederickston.
1725.
1725. Well, listen, man. Let me help you a little bit. 1725. The Danes had St. Thomas and St. John. And they had no idea that they would have been able to purchase St. Croix from France. But here you are, giving the town of Frederickston to France because St. Croix was part of the French West Indies then. And so that's the first hint that I'm going to give. You know, because I call him before you ask me, say, give some hint. Well, that is the first hint I'm going to give now. Frederiksted was not a town under any other nationality than Danish. The Danish is what helped bring, well, not, I can't say help bring, because Denmark is who designed and constructed the town of Frederiksted. Let's put it that way. Okay. So that if you go before 1733, you're going into French territory.
Okay.
So that's the first hint they gotta be after 1733. Got to be after that. Beloved, Frederiksted is making me feel proud. I tell him, I said, look at that now. And beloved, Sunday is usually the day when I spend trying to find what is going to be my crucial history question for Tuesday. Well, when I decided on this one here, this past Sunday, it never occurred to me that it would take this long to come up with the year when the town of Frederiksted was first designed and started construction. Look at that now. Good afternoon to you.
Yeah, Mario.
Yes, tell me.
1730. You say answer this question?
1736. Wheel and come again. At least you're making sense. Wheel and come again. Beloved, we are looking for Frederiksted. We are looking to try to find out the year when the town of Frederiksted was first begun. Good afternoon. Could you tell us what year was that?
You say the one it's making sense. Oh, right about 1756.
Well, if that is where you're going, 1756. That's what you say, right? 1756. And I say, wheel and come again. What's up with the Good afternoon.
48, Mario.
1738 says, wheel and come again. Lord Harry the Judge. Listen, Frederiksted making me feel proud, my son. My little tongue of Frederiksted got a bazadino. You understand? But beloved, will soon come. Soon come. I'm going to soon have to start giving you some hints, but hold on. Good afternoon. What is the year when Frederiksted finally saw the sun?
1740.
1740. We are going again. Boy, I got you. Boy, I'm feeling so good for Frederiksted. Feeling so good. Hi. Beloved, let me see how I could come up with some clues that ain't gonna give it totally away. Let me see. Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mario. I would say 1745.
1745. And I say, wheel and come again.
Okay.
All right. Beloved, all I can tell you is I am proud of my Frederiksted son. Yeah. Gina should have been alive. If Gina's alive, Gina should have been say, yes, Mario, you got him. Good afternoon. What is the year for Frederickston?
Yeah, Mario, 41.
1741. Yes, sir. You walk in, you up, or you think it's sick, or you walk in, you up. It's that. And you gonna catch me there, or you gonna catch me? Wheel and come again. All right. Beloved, let us see how we're gonna do it. Well, cars still coming in, man. So I gonna listen to that. I gonna listen to that. When you get stopped, then you can see what we do. Good afternoon.
Yeah,
What?
I listened to what I want to hear what you were going to say first before I answer.
No, I was going to try and give you all a hit, but as long as you call it, me give you no hit. Nobody
Wow.
stop. You still trying.
43, Mario.
You see that? What? 1743. Wheel and come again. All right. Good afternoon to you. What is the year?
1733.
1733. 1733 is the year when they first agreed to sell, when they, the French, first agreed to sell St. Croix to the Danes. But you gotta wheel and come again. No, no, Sylvia, that card, man. I'm still trying. Good afternoon.
Yeah, Mario. 45.
1745. Wheel and come again. But I gotta think, all right. Hold up now. Hold on the cards. All right. Because beloved, I don't want us to run out of time. Are we down to the last 4 minutes now? We down to the last 4 minutes, so let me see how to do this here now. That's it. Beloved, the first hint I will give you is that it was before the Frederickston Fort was open. Okay? It was before the Frederickston Fort was open. So that's the first hint I'm giving you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm looking for a year.
Okay, I would say 1750.
1750. Wheel and come again.
All right.
All right. Beloved, hear this, you know. Hear this. You know. It is it was definitely before the Frederickston Fort was open. Good afternoon. So you tell me now, before the Frederickston Fort was open, are you supposed to know when the Frederickston Fort was open?
It was it 1734.
1734, it was not. Wheel and come again.
Oh, okay, thank you.
All righty. So, beloved, you hear the hint I'm giving you. The town of Frederickston was designed and started construction before the fort of Frederickston was open. Good afternoon.
Yes, Mario. 1620.
1620. You paying attention, Boss? If you've been in my history class, I would have had to, bring you to the head of the class and put on a dunce cap on you. But here why? Can you say 16? In the 17th century, at this time here, St. Croix was under the Knights of Malta. This is how far back you go. And I am saying to you that St. Croix had a second town called Frederiksted before the fort of Frederiksted was opened. So wheel and come again.
Thank you, man. Yeah.
Already. Uh-huh. Beloved, you should be able to answer this one now. Mm. Mm. Good afternoon. What is the year I'm looking for?
Yeah, good number 1755.
Ay. Who gave that date?
One is an ancient African secret I have, I can't tell you.
Well, Aaron, well, you keep it here because, beloved, 1755 is the year he is a winner. You see, then you realize it. This is African secret. It was you didn't know the secret yourself. 1755. Five years before the Frederiksted Fort was opened is when the Frederiksted town was started to build. All right? So that when the Frederiksted Fort opened, Frederiksted town was a brand new town, just 5 years old.
Right.
1755. Absolutely correct. Beloved, you understand, you got it now. So let's do this thing. Please give me your correct full name.
Okay, my name is Derek Hendricks, right? But I'm giving it to a man named Brad Thomas. B-R-A-D Thomas.
Brad Thomas.
Yeah, Brad Thomas. I'm giving it to Brad.
He in St. Croix right now?
Yeah, he's in St. Croix.
Okay. Brad Thomas. You understand? And Derek Hendricks, boy, you're keeping your reputation hot. You understand?
Thank you.
He said,
you remember 2 weeks ago I was in a slump, remember?
I remember you saying that, but you're back.
Yeah, that's what I tell
you. Beloved, 1755, Derek Hendricks is the man.
Thank you.
Congratulations to you. Brad Thomas, you make sure you go down to have some ice cream and get your favorite flavor this one. Whatever your flavor is, get it. Thank you. Congratulations to you again.
You're welcome. Have a good day, brother.
All righty.
All right.
And with that, beloved, we say, hey, let me just say that, hey, it is time to lick your cream because Hamster ice cream is just so good for your soul. We're back, beloved. And yes, just like you know it was time for the history question, now you know it's time for the laugh slap. Yes, we have it. This is the laugh slap, and whether you had a burning question to ask or a burning statement to make, this is the time. So get your last lick in the last lap while I am still enjoying my well, a little jovial moment to come to realize that my hometown of Fredericksted, yes, my hometown of Fredericksted could literally stop my beloved audience. Imagine that, no? But again, it speaks to how well, ineffective our school system is because, beloved, it's now 5 years that we've been doing this. And we are still able to come up with, well, things like that. The second town on the island of St. Croix. And, well, it's the truth. My beloved audience did not know when the second town on this 84 square mile island was designed and started construction. And well, I guess more than anything that yeah, that speaks to the ineffectiveness of our school system. Because Lord Harry the Church, beloved, you would think that I would be running out of questions that I could ask that you couldn't find the answer to on the internet. But there it is. We're still able to do it. But to tell you the truth, that was surprising to me. Thought maybe, maybe we get 5 or 6 callers to miss it before somebody got the correct one. But Lord Harry the Judge, beloved, we literally had to eat up all the time before we come up with a 1755. 1755. Derek Hendricks, and he go way back with us. He go way back with us. He been in a slump. He been in a slump, and pick it up. Definitely pick it up. Right there. But there you have it. And the town of Fredericksted. And so, what to tell you? What to tell you? Is that well? We were talking about this matter because that I don't know, kind of resonates with me, and those don't sound right. That, beloved, we would actually have boats bringing marijuana from Jamaica and Mexico to the Virgin Islands to transship it to the States. Somehow the other that just don't sound right to me at all. And I mean, yes, just like Carl, as I mentioned, different news item that they've heard of, this person get caught, that person get caught. But Lord Harry, the judge, beloved, I don't think that you would have a boat bringing marijuana from either Mexico or Jamaica to the Virgin Islands. And it's any little bit. I mean, if you go into that expense in a boat, bring it to the Virgin Islands, that's why it's a 5,000 pounds, because it'd be thousands of pounds, man. And that's the problem right there in itself. So, beloved, how then you get 5,000 pounds of marijuana here into the Virgin Islands, and you are going to get, it's a lot of people, because I would think if you being that's what they call a mule. If you being a mule, that actually you're going to take some marijuana into the States for who knows what you get in for that. But beloved, how many people carrying marijuana in their luggage or their person or whatever it is, but you realize how much there would have to be to get like 5,000 pounds of marijuana transshipped to the States. And I don't know, beloved. I really don't know, because it seems to me that if you are trying to move marijuana from Mexico or from Jamaica, that you would find an easier way than to the Virgin Islands. I don't know. What do you say? Good afternoon. Welcome.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Hey, welcome aboard.
Right, I had tried to get in. You had the question, I believe, right?
Yes, we got the answer. The 1755 is the year when the town of Frederickson was first designed and construction began of the town. 1755. Yes.
Good.
And 5 years later, 1760 is when the Frederickson Fort was completed and opened.
Okay. Yeah, I had listened to you earlier. It had to be like maybe between 1:30 and 2 when you had mentioned that there are more Rastafarians in the Virgin Islands than Democrats. Is that a correct statement I heard?
You heard it correctly. And that's one of the reasons why I was trying to do a program on a sister station here, the FM 100.3. I used to do it in the Saturday afternoon, but we had problems with the telephone, and we couldn't get it to work out. The FM just wasn't set up for the full talk show kind of format.
I see.
But yes, but that was the thing, because I was trying to reach out to them to say, like, hey, you realize that, hey, if you registered to vote, you could change the entire government of the Virgin Islands in one election?
Exactly, the power is in our hand.
That's just it. That's just it. But again, like so many of us, we just said, me again, no love, no corruption, Mr. Me have an election. And it's unbelievable how many people here in this little territory refuse to register and vote.
Yes, and that is sad because the lame excuses about they want to get in the corruption, they want to get enough politics, all the kind of blah, me talk.
Yeah.
Then, to me, they are saying 60 years of this, we're looking for another 60 years of it.
Unfortunately, but that's what they're saying, yeah.
Well, my Christ.
You know, so that our ancestors went through all of this to get to the point where our colonizers feel safe enough that they could give us the authority to elect our own government. And Lord Harry the judge. We don't take we don't take advantage of it.
This is what we're doing.
Yep.
You know, if they would even remember and think about the suffrage where women could not vote.
Yeah.
Women today who are leading are women in intelligence, education, common sense, and everything else.
Yes, that's correct.
Oh my Lord, mercy. Me and my son, me. I don't either have to hide from my children and grandchildren because they tired them me leave them people alone.
No, but you can't. No, these are well. The way I look at it, these are my people, and as long as I have life, I got to fight for my people to do better.
Well, that's true, Mario, and I will continue to do that. But I see all black people as my people, so I said to myself, if I can help them of being run away or somehow chased away from helping my black people, then I help black people same side, and that's what I do.
Again,
particularly in the southern states.
Well, you should be applauded. That's a good thing.
You know, I mean, all these young crackheads from Houston and all the rest of them. This is what I do, campaigning from Texas, even California, come all the way across Alabama, Louisiana, Georgia, Kentucky, Florida, for black women.
Well, you ought to be applauded. That's a great thing.
You know, I mean, you know, I see it as my duty. And like I said, it became more entrenched in me after I was sort of given a hard time in doing it in the Virgin. I said, if I can't do it in the Virgin, then let me go elsewhere. And thank you, Jesus, my record is good. States attorneys general, county commissioners, judges, you name it. I did it enough for them black girls.
Yeah, well, we need help, desperately need help here in the Virgin Islands because in this small community, you know, we could make a lot of changes and we could show the world what the descendants of enslaved Africans can do because we're the overwhelming majority. We're the overwhelming majority here.
Exactly. The power is on our hands.
Yeah.
You see, but I'm going to go now. I know it's time you got to get home, but let me just say this in passing. I cannot overstand, Mario.
Yeah.
Why black people like myself back in the Virgin cannot understand my bringing out to them the foolishness that Carl Knight and Governor Brian is telling them and having them believe I'm jealous of Carl Knight guy pay is foolishness. I continue to remember? I didn't say civil engineering.
Right.
That's what he is.
Yeah.
I didn't say government house. I said these power plants we got in the budget. Let's get them put together. Don't know them more than I am.
Well, now is a great time because between now and the first Saturday in October, we have the primary election for Democrats, and then the first Tuesday in November. We need all the help we could get to convince our people that it's in our hands.
Right, and maybe I was glad that you link up with Henry, your Chechen caller.
Yeah.
And that we could dialogue with him because none of us, we got brother, we got Grant, and much more that's not talking now.
Yeah.
That come out and say the foolishness they're talking, they continue to lie to the people.
Yeah.
It's two things prominent, Mario. When they're talking about, the system, they that. What? It's two things. They're continuing to save fuel because they ain't got the money to pay for it. Up front.
Mm-hmm.
That's one.
All right.
The second part is that they continue to what I would call bring up the Wärtsilä company to the point that they went and bought 4 more units from them, where the units have continued to fail and cannot carry the load. And the government said it right. It's what is in it for me. What's in it for I?
Well, we are going to do our best to use, what is he call him, Professor Michael Henry, to take advantage of this political campaign here, so that come January 2027, we are prepared to make some changes for WAPA. And so that's why I'm inviting you to help us with that through this campaign here, to make it a priority with these candidates, make it a priority. But I gotta go have the last word.
Okay.
I got a call. I want to get in before time is up.
Okay, let the caller get in, but I'm gonna say this and go in, Mario. That if our people continue to put dominant Democrats in government, for God's sake, if they make the mistake to put the basket or the girl Donna Green or the Donna
Fred Gregory.
Donna Fred Gregory. If that happens, I am done with my homeland.
No, you can't say that, man. You can't say that.
Well, but why is that, Mario?
You can't. Hey, listen. It took from the time they brought the first of our ancestors here in St. Croix in 1644 to 1848. It was 204 years it took for us to get rid of the chains. You know how many people lost their lives and how can I do? That's why I said, no, you can't give up. Be disappointed, but you can't give up. Please. Thank you. All righty.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, Mr. Let me take this last clip.
Yeah, you got the last click, man.
I mean, you were talking about telling the guy why, they raised the program on Saturday, wasn't going right.
Yeah.
But we got talk about the Rasta community.
Okay. That is what I wanted. That's what I wanted that program for, to talk to the Rasta community.
Yeah. I mean, there is more Rasta man here than when, if we have 90,000 in the Rasta community, we must get about 40 to 50.
We got more Rastafari than we got registered Democrats.
Yeah, that's the word, right.
If Rastafari was to register to vote, They could take over this place.
You know, you hear them saying that you know, they're not getting in politics, but then they want to elect a Rasta government. There's some,
But listen,
if you don't want to elect a government for you, you could do it right here.
that's right.
Right here, beloved.
That's right.
You know, you just tell Mr. Nelson, oh, you'll never give up. I will never give up.
You can't give up, man. Can't give up. If our ancestors had given up, ain't no telling what we'd be now, son.
And a guy was telling me today, because we were listening to the show together, right?
Yeah.
We were listening to it. He telling me how corrupt the government is and how it needs this change. When come to know the guy didn't even register. He even gone we naturalize nation people. I said, when you gonna go? He said, okay, okay. I said, because let me tell you something. You ain't gonna say, you know, right now, because you're not registered, number one. You can't go to them and tell them, you know, about ignorance, because the guy in the book and see that you ain't even registered. You think they're gonna study you?
Right.
You know what I mean? You know what I want to read one of these days, beloved, about this delegate. I think he was from Virginia. I think his name is Henry Berry. Yeah, Henry Berry. I think he's from Virginia. This is 1832. No?
Okay.
He made some racist remarks about them. They having us not to have the knowledge, you know, to see ourselves through betterment.
Right.
You know, but he still use the word, the God-given talent that he gave them.
Yeah.
You know, black people.
Yeah.
You know, so one of these days I'm gonna read that there for them to let them know.
Okay.
1832 is it the same, almost the same century. Not so far from the same time that we was free as slave from here.
1848.
Right. Same century. Okay.
Right.
And one of these I'm gonna read it. So
Okay.
When I read this thing, I don't believe what this man is saying.
Well, the point is that we cannot give up. We can't afford that luxury. Because if our ancestors had given up, you know, telling where we'd be now, but definitely would have been a much worse place than we did now.
I tired of hearing them good for nothing, what they could do from what they gonna help the island to do, and we can't sit for 50 years now. I gotta be loving.
Stay strong, man. Thanks for the call, eh?
Yeah.
All right. And beloved, this is where we come to the end of another Tuesday afternoon of information and enlightenment. And so we said to you, you know, lick your cream, beloved, because after ice cream is just so good for your soul. Just don't you dare forget that, beloved, it don't matter how big a basket they give us to full up. One, we could full it up just as long as we do it together.